do here is go back.
Let's go to the main camera. You never know, it might actually be working. Stranger things have happened. It appears, yep, it looks like this. That kind of looks a bit like me. Maybe a slightly fatter version. Good evening everyone, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews Now 2. It is Saturday the 17th of September 2022. I had to think about it then. Soon be Christmas. In fact, our local co-op shop in Downend Village has actually rolled out all of their Christmas stuff. They have their seasonal aisle in full flow, which is absolutely terrifying. Christmas is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. As much as I hate to mention the C word, it certainly is heading in that general direction. But with the change in seasons, and actually I'm feeling it today, I've actually been wearing my coat indoors today because I cannot afford to turn the heating on because that is expensive, and I can't get anywhere near the wood burner because there's too much crap stacked in front of it. Primarily my fault, I must admit. But yes, we're not lighting the fire yet, we haven't turned the heating on, and it's been in single digit figures in the mornings and stuff and in the evenings, so
but
yes.
It was absolutely scorching outside this afternoon.
It was actually, this afternoon was really nice out in the garden, so yeah, that was good. Get out there, get a little bit of sunshine. Talking of fires, very tenuous link. We will be taking a look today at the Gamemax Spark, and obviously to light a fire you need a spark, and hopefully this isn't going to cause a fire. And actually it has got a fire sign on the side, so potentially that is a bad omen to begin with. This is a new case from Gamemax. Well, I say new case, it's been available in the Asian areas for quite a while now it seems, but it's recently been brought over to the UK. They've recently imported some. Gamemax is a bit of an odd company. It's kind of, there's GamemaxPC.com, which is the main Gamemax company, and then there's other Gamemax companies around the world. So there's Gamemax UK, which is a separate company which basically licenses the use of Gamemax products and imports them, much like AMD. There's an AMD UK, there's an AMD US, there's an AMD Taiwan, etc, etc. You get the general idea. It's basically they're splitting the regions down. So with that, obviously, because Gamemax PC is the main kind of parent company, Gamemax UK don't always hold or carry the same stock lines. And actually, if you go to GamemaxPC.com, look at the stuff they've got, there's actually tons and tons of stuff they do. Gamemax UK have got a very small kind of almost like a curated version of their store. So they've recently done the Spark, available in black, grey and in white, and it's actually a really unusual design. So at first I was kind of like, it's got a solid front, I'm not interested. I keep on going down this route of saying, no, it's got a solid front, I'm not interested, I don't want to look at it. And then they send me a case with a solid front and it turns out to be absolutely fine. At least Gamemax are in that position at the moment. Other companies, not quite so favourable it seems. But yeah, so we'll be doing a teardown of this, having a look, unbox it, go through all the pros, cons. I might even throw a motherboard in there, some fans, just to get some clearance ideas. It's a really unusual case in terms of the airflow. So this is now a vertical airflow situation. So rather than being front to back, it's basically bottom to top. So in theory, it should benefit graphics cards hugely. Potentially not so much for CPUs, although there is an exhaust fan in the traditional place in the ATX layout, so it's actually going to be able to pull heat away. So natural convection, heat rises, so having a vertical airflow, much like actually the case behind me, that's vertical airflow. We've got 3 fans in the bottom, got 3 fans in the top, so it's naturally going upwards, and there's an exhaust for the graphics card on the side, so a slightly more extreme version of what is going on in here. So yes, we will be taking a look at that. We'll go through, do an unboxing. We're going to say hello to some of you in the chat also, and clearly there's going to be some of you that want to talk about some of the goings on in the tech space of the last week, of which there have been many things. There's probably going to be stuff that you guys will want to talk about and that we can discuss. Primarily, I guess a lot of people are going to be thinking about the Nvidia and EVGA divorce, which it's come as a bit of a shock, to be honest with you. I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about it. Now, clearly, Nvidia asshole, they are Nvidia asshole. It's a meme I saw, and I like it. So yeah, Nvidia are obviously at the moment, they have become, I don't know, they've gone from being the darling of the industry to being basically the hated one. But they do make good stuff. So as a kind of tech community, what do we do? What do we think? Do we carefully consider our next graphics card purchase? Do we maybe even boycott Nvidia for their harsh bully boy tactics? And if we do with Nvidia, where does that end? And is that just becoming more and more of cancel culture? I don't know. We'll discuss that all a little bit later on in the video, because I'm sure there's going to be tons of you with opinions on it. And actually it's good to talk about it, because some people are probably fuming, some people couldn't care less, and some people are kind of just don't know it's going on. So they're interested to hear what your thoughts are and what everyone else is thinking. Personally, myself, I don't actually like using Nvidia products if I can help it. I would much rather use AMD products, but as a content creator, I do use Adobe Premiere for various reasons that I basically can't use DaVinci because I'm some kind of idiot. It just doesn't come natural to me, doesn't feel right, and because I've used Premiere for so long, if you're using Adobe Premiere, you are kind of almost shoehorned into using Nvidia graphics cards. Adobe does tend to really rely quite heavily on CUDA, so yes, it basically doesn't work as well with AMD cards, although potentially that may be different now. If it is, and you're one of those people that uses Adobe Premiere with an AMD card, please let me know in the comment section, because I'd be quite happy to get rid of my relatively modest Nvidia card. It's only a 3060 Ti Founders Edition, but yeah, if I could swap it out for, say, a RX 670 or 6700, that would be the 670 would be a very strange card. Yeah, 6700 or 6800, I'd be very happy. And it would please my driver database a lot as well, because I could just have AMD drivers on my system. I would be a happy teddy. Anyway, so yeah, we've got all that going on. We've also got, obviously, another massive thing which has kind of been sidelined is Ethereum. The merge is complete. So Ethereum, if you don't know, is basically a crypto coin which people would generally mine using GPU power to mine said coins to make money. Now, of recent times, obviously energy prices have skyrocketed. The difficulty of actually mining coins has become far more difficult, so the actual profitability of where it was in its heyday is nowhere near. But the coins are kind of rising generally. They do have some dips here and there, but they are rising, so it is still a kind of almost like a viable thing. But now they've gone to proof of stake rather than proof of work. So they've gone from essentially GPU mining to hard drive storage effectively. I believe it is. I haven't really looked into it because personally, I don't really care. All I care about is the fact that all of those people that bought graphics cards for mining, who have warehouses full of these things, are going to be slowly releasing these to the market, or maybe even quickly to the market. So we've got two big kind of convergences in the force. We've got Nvidia and EVGA going their separate ways. So what that's going to mean for the supply chain, I don't know. EVGA was Nvidia's kind of primary partner. So it's going to have some upset, especially being as the 4000 series are going to be announced very, very shortly. And in fact, I believe it is Tuesday, is it? The 20th? Whatever day it is, I think it's the 20th anyway. So yeah, lots going on. Graphics cards coming into the market from miners. Potentially it could be a very good time to start buying graphics cards in the next few weeks. But then we always say that, and then we've got the other stuff. We've got Amazon's Black Friday and all those sort of sales running up to Christmas. Who knows? It's going to be a wild ride. It really is. As per usual, we'll probably get very hyped about it, and it'll be just a damp squib, as these things generally tend to be. So that is kind of the main two things, I guess. There's been a few leaks in terms of graphics card performance. The 4090 or 4080 seems to be potentially almost 3 times faster than the 3090. So read into that whatever you will. There was a kind of weird, almost a cryptographic post from Nvidia with various numbers on, which could relate to certain things. But until we actually see it in a couple of days' time, we don't really know. And of course, AMD will be following up as well with the 7000 series graphics, which are also looking to be pretty decent as well. Possibly even similar jumps in performance. So yeah, it's a kind of almost exciting times. It's not quite, but it's getting there. And also we've got SD-RAM prices, well, DRAM prices I suppose I should say, are falling. So there's plenty of deals out there at the moment for M.2 drives and SATA-based drives. Only this week we've seen PCI Express Gen 4 x 4 drives, 1 terabyte drives posted on our Mike's Unboxing Discord in the Bargains No Chat for somewhere in the region of about £70, which for a 1 terabyte PCI Express Gen 4 x 4 drive is pretty exceptional. So yeah, there are going to be deals out there. We've seen some of the other drives as well, still tailing around that sort of £60 mark for a 1 terabyte drive, which is pretty much the sweet spot. And again, because we do have Black Friday and all that stuff, not a million miles off now. It'll be interesting to see if they start jacking the prices up artificially to bring them down around the sales time. But we will see what we will see. Also this week, some other excitement. We had a delivery from Amazon for some Hydronaut paste, courtesy of Rick H, who's one of our regulars, and I believe is probably in the chat at the moment. I think I saw it a little bit earlier. This came through very, very exciting. Never tried Hydronaut paste, and I was doing a video on my laptop, my HP laptop, repasting it, seeing what difference it made. This stuff is absolutely really good. The downside being is our Amazon driver thinks he's, I don't know, Lewis Hamilton or something. So I kind of did at some point have a plunger on this particular Thermal Grizzly paste. Now I just have kind of remnants and bits and pieces. So fortunately, I did actually manage to get some of the paste out for the video, which was awesome. And I did actually speak to Amazon. Now this actually goes back to something which I've talked about before now, about why you should buy stuff on Amazon. Now, if I'd have bought this off of somewhere like CCL, Scan, eBay, eBuyer, all those kinds of things, overclockers, etc., there's a really strong chance that if I'd have got in contact with them about this saying, look, it's damaged, for the sake of the kind of £10, £12 that this cost, I think it was £13 actually, for the sake of that money, the chances are most of those suppliers are going to turn around and say, sorry. That's, yeah, it's unfortunate, it is what it is. It's unlikely they're going to swap it out. Now, Amazon, at some point, actually said, you need to return it. Which was kind of like, okay, fair enough. But I thought, no, actually, it's their fault. And they wanted me to actually pay for a shipping label to send it back. So I was like, no, I'm not going down that route. So I spoke to Amazon customer service. And the very kind person, basically, I did a proper sales tactic. Now, this is a sales tactic, which you should learn. If you're buying anything online or you're buying stuff from anybody or you're in a sales profession, silence is the answer. Most salesmen will try and talk and talk and talk and kind of basically ramrod you into buying things. Now, if you want somebody to give you the answer that you want or to make a decision, say nothing. Which is essentially what I did. So I started the conversation with the Amazon employee on the computer over there. I then gave up and thought, bollocks, I'm just going to record the video anyway. Sorry for the swear. And basically got on and started making the video. I could hear in the background my screen bleeping because they'd replied. And because I said nothing, eventually it got to the point where they said, don't worry, we'll refund you the entire amount back to your account as a gift voucher. Please can you dispose of the old thing, just dispose of it responsibly. So that is exactly what I'll be doing. I will be disposing this responsibly all over my CPUs and GPUs for the next few weeks. I have actually ordered another one, and what I'll probably end up doing is swapping over the plunger. There's probably ways around it, but I thought, well, yeah, it's not my fault they sent it in stupid packaging that it broke. So anyway, so Rick H, thank you so much for sending that over. If you've not used Hydronaut before, actually, I really like it. I've only had very limited exposure to it so far on my combined CPU and GPU in my HP 245G8, but actually it seems very easy to apply, spreads very well, and performance-wise, the performance was weird. The performance was genuinely weird. I don't want to spoil it for you. I think you should probably watch the video, but it was better and worse at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. It probably doesn't. Anyway, with that monologue out of the way, we should crack on. Say hello to some of you gits in the chat. Sorry, I've had a bit of sugar before I started the stream, and I've been off sugar for best part of a month now. I think it's about a month, roughly. I've basically been having a very little amount of sugar in tea, but other than that, cakes, biscuits, chocolate, sweets, all that kind of stuff, which is nice on the lips, but not so good internally and for my bad throat, which is kind of getting better, hopefully, a little bit, slowly but surely. It's taken 50 years to get it this bad, so it's going to take a while to get it better.
I like how you can say that and you got insulted when I said that.
So yeah, I had some yogurt. So it's not entirely rubbish, but it was some Yo Valley natural yogurt with a hint of vanilla and some sugar in it. And I had 5 tablespoons of it, and I'm basically off my tits. It's brilliant. It tasted so sweet after not having like proper sugary stuff for so long. It was like having the world's sweetest vanilla ice cream. It was like cream soda almost. It was just so sugary and sweet and vanilla-y. It's like, oh my god. I was like, I gotta put this down because if I have too much, I'm gonna make myself sick. Because I'm not used to this amount of sugar. Because I could already feel my eyeballs pulsing. It's not good. Anyway, so moving on. Oh, also we had some stuff come through from our good friend over in Germany, William Bodie. Thank you very much. My belt is over there, my weightlifting belt for my back, and the mouse is currently residing up there, colour-coded blue. Do you like that? That's good. I know this is supposed to be for Kath, but it's a little bit flat for her hands, so I've kind of stolen it. And I was about to use it for tonight's stream actually, but I didn't have any batteries put in it ready, and this one was here, so I might get that going a little bit later. But now I've got the clock as well, all the same sort of colour, and I even got myself a matching brush as well for getting rid of dust. We're getting very colour coded. We're almost semi-professional with all this colour coding. It's very, very good. There's also some bizarre stuff that you sent for Bob, which I haven't sent off yet because at the moment our postal service basically. I was going to say something about, no, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to incriminate myself, but basically the postal service is buggered here at the moment in the UK. I'm supposed to get a monitor delivered on Thursday or Friday, don't know where that's gone, so I think it's an MSI one. Actually, it is an MSI monitor, so that I'm afraid MSI is going to be just lost in space. If it ever gets seen in the background of a shot, it's not yours, honest. No, seriously, it hasn't turned up. Thank you, Bob, for the super chat. I should click on that one. Oh God, Mike's off his Napa on Taylor margarine powder. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah. Thank you, Bob, for the super chat. God bless you, sir. And actually, talking of Ugly Bob, this is actually for Ugly Bob, the stuff that Mr. Bodie sent, which I will show you, just in case you think that I've basically just taken a rather clear piss in a jar. I haven't. This is called Shine On Georgia Moon Corn Whiskey. First you swaller, then you holler. It is sellotape down, sealed as well. It looks like some dodgy moonshine, doesn't it? So that is going to be winging its way to young Bob, and also I think that is the cup that is supposed to go with it. William, do clarify, is this what is meant to be going to young Bobolopoulos? I'm not sure what that means on there. Zwischenliebe und Mills past immer noch ein Pils. Don't know what that means. Someone translate. Actually, if you're watching with subtitles on and it's done auto-translate, what does that mean? Right, William Bodie says yes. Ugly Bob says down in one, down in one. Imagine drinking that down in one. I think you would actually lobotomise yourself. So, I'm not even sure what strength it is. I can't see. 40% volume. 80% proof. I'm sure that would sustain a flame. Not our little flame. Well, he is a ginger, so maybe we should set fire to him.
No.
Right. Yes. There's a bunch of other stuff as well that William sent to us, but it's actually on top the cupboard in the kitchen, away from me, so I don't feel tempted. But thank you so much for sending all those bits. I did actually post a picture of everything on our community tab. So if you're wondering what got sent, there's basically lots of little German goodies. Kath might go and get it. Is she getting it?
Oh no, I was getting Daisy Duke.
Oh no, she's getting Daisy. Taking away temptation. But thank you so much, all of you that are donating and sending us stuff. We do appreciate it. There's Daisy Duke.
You showing?
Yeah, there we go. Daisy. Oh, bless her. She is old now. She's what, 16?
Yeah.
16 years
She's
old.
a bit scared of Flame.
And she's scared of Flame.
Although she's lived with him for 12 years.
I keep on dropping my microphone. This is the lead from my microphone, which goes up through to my lav mic. Now, you'll probably be able to see, well, you might not be able to see. I've actually super glued the switch. There's a switch there that says camera and smartphone. And this week has been absolute knalls. Every time I've done a video, something has gone basically wrong. Whether it's been my fault, whether it's been external factors, whatever it is, something has generally gone wrong. And I did a video twice, I think, maybe 3 times. And the 3rd time, I had this set to smartphone. So the footage was great, and I really felt happy, and I was very proud of the work that I'd done on the video, and it turned out well. Until I took the SD card out of the camera, put it in my computer, and realised that the picture and everything was absolutely crispy, but there was absolutely fecal audio. I was fuming, absolutely fuming. So if you see any videos which kind of don't look like they're all been done at the same moment in time, there's a good reason. It's because they haven't, because I've had to re-record them because of issues of my own making generally. So hopefully now that is glued in place, so it will never switch back to smartphone mode, which basically cuts off the mic. Mental note to self, always record extra audio just in case. Scratch audio they call it, but I never did. Anyway, let's get back to some of you lovely peoples in the chats there. So we've got Ugly Bob in, says good evening. We've got Gamer Turt, says I'm Alex. Hi Alex. Aral is with us. Good evening Admiral. Paul Bakewell. Hello Bob and everyone. The race to be first. The race to the bottom. Like Nvidia. Lucky Man's with us. How you doing? Gamer Turt says, what? Oh, wait, what? That's a membership? Yes. This isn't a membership stream, but yeah, don't worry. What was that? Gamer Turt. I was preparing my whole life for this. I don't know whether to feel proud or just despondent. One of the two. Thank you for joining us. Ugly Bob says that's a smart looking case. Hopefully it will be, yeah. I'm kind of getting to the point now where I'm not entirely convinced that mesh fronted PCs are the be all and end all. I kind of like them. Don't get me wrong. And in fact, my daily driver over there, which is the Colink Citadel ATX case, is a meshed front case. And bizarrely, it doesn't appear to pick up any dust. I don't know how. Normally, most of my PCs in this house...
Daisy's been living... No, Maze's.
Kath's especially, the Gamemax F15 mesh front, every single day, guaranteed, you could wipe down the front of that and it's basically a dust magnet. But for some reason... Yeah, for some reason, that thing over there, and it's in the corner of the room, so you'd think all the dust and stuff, because the doorway's there, you'd think it would always come over here. Daisy and Maisie and the other hands sleep over here.
But they sleep on top of it, Maisie.
Yeah, Maisie's been sleeping on top of the case. And so far, basically the front of it looks pristine. And the airflow's really good. So yeah, it's the world's first self-cleaning case. I never realised that. Right, anyway, moving on. Rick H says, good evening to all the mubs around the world, and thank you, Rick H, for the broken thermal grizzly thing. Not your fault. But I'll blame you anyway, even though you're not even in the same country. Hashtag blame Rick. Interesting looking case. Wonder how the cooling efficiency is. That's a very good question. We won't be able to answer that today because we're not going to be doing a build on it quite yet. I'm still trying to work out what to actually put in it. I've got another Micro-ATX build in the Gamemax Commando, which they also sent us the black version of it. We had the white version before, got the black version now, which I think I actually prefer the black version after having a quick look at it. So we will be doing a build now. I've actually picked up a ASRock B450M Steel Legend, which is, I still love that board. I really genuinely do. It's a great board. I did review it 3 years ago, almost to the day. And that was a gift actually that Skystalker, one of our regulars, actually purchased for one of our other regulars. So that is what our community is like. Basically, Skystalker knew or was speaking to one of our other younger members who basically was trying to, well, struggling to get a build together and helped him out with a motherboard. So yeah, that's awesome. And they sent it via me so I could do an unboxing on it. So yeah, we all got something out of that, which is awesome. So yes, anyway, that'll be happening soon. William Bodie says, morning to you all. Thank you again, William, for your kindness. David Aitken's with us. David Aitken says, good evening all. How you doing, David? There's the £2 super chat from Ugly Bob. Disco, disco, disco. Thank you very much, Bob. He always does it before the stream starts. I think he does it on deliberately trying to wait for me, because I'm normally over here setting something up and then the light comes on and scares the bejesus out of me. Matthew Days can half a cold quiche and microwave baked potato at the ready.
Oh, I didn't see Matthew.
Nice one.
There's like loads of messages missing.
Are you in live chat or?
Live chat.
Okay. Yeah, we've been doing some sticker food shopping this week. Yellow and orange, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, for Sainsbury's.
Co-op. Co-op's.
Oh yeah, Co-op's orange.
Yeah, Co-op's orange tag, Sainsbury's yellow. So there's two shops, two supermarkets quite near to us. So literally we go into the Co-op, go into the clearance section, see what's good there, and then go over to the Sainsbury's across the road and do the same there. It's good. We've been getting some reasonably good bargains.
But we're being good and not overbuying.
Yeah, we're not trying to buy crazy stuff.
Unlike last night when Mike hadn't eaten first.
Yeah, if I haven't eaten and I go there, it's ridiculous. I just like, yeah, just chuck it all in.
But good. Cocktail sausages.
Cocktail sausages was the worst thing I bought. Well, pork and pickle pies, I suppose, technically.
Oh, yeah.
Pastry.
Pickle.
Right, who else we got with us? Sorry, Nick Barnes. How you doing, Nick? Wild Bill. Good evening. Hope we're all well and prospering, mostly. Mark Berry, how you doing, Mark? Good evening, Captain Mike. Getting colder now. It is. It has been getting colder. William Bodie says sound is low. Oh, that was for the intro, wasn't it? Yeah. That's right. Oh yeah, that's where I was making it go crazy. Cheers from Las Vegas. Mike from Ultimate Tech Hub. Hopefully you guys have joined or entered into Mike's giveaway. If you have, you've probably been notified already of the winners. So good luck with winning the graphics card there and some other bits and pieces. And good evening, Michael. Nick Barnes says, hi Kath, is sound supposed to vary? No, that was me pissing around. Riley says, good evening. David Williams, good evening all, how you doing? Wild Bill bought a box of mince pies at Lidl this afternoon. Love them. I've never been keen on mince pies, but maybe now because I'm not eating sugar, they may have that certain appeal. Riley says, burn the crap in front of the wood burner. If I do, that'll be currently a relatively modern version of Monopoly. It'll be an Asus Store NAS.
WD-40.
My last 5 years tax returns paperwork. And a Computer Active magazine, WD-40.
Black and yellow one.
Some dash and display cleaner. Some brake cleaner. Some blue roll.
Toys.
Cat's toys mostly.
Well, that's alright. It's in a bucket. It can just go straight in the hallway.
Oh, and some metal straws. The metal straws, William, are they for Bob as well? For consumption of...
said drink.
That. The moonshine. There are some... I think, are they metal straws, Kath? Or are they just chrome plated?
Metal.
They are metal.
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel straws, William. Are they for... Are they to go with the drink? These are for saving the earth, apparently, and probably rotting your brain at the same time with moonshine. Would you drink that with a straw? I don't know. Maybe. I wasn't sure if that was to go with it or not.
Never you.
Methanoid says, open the box. I will do very shortly. Stuart Cleary says, Welly Bob will be loving the cool weather. Hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah, he's been moaning about it being too hot. Glenn's with us, says, evening all. How you doing, Glenn? Methanoid says, hello. So you do camera and
That's
chat.
me.
Oh yeah, whereas Mike gets the waffle on screen, yeah. Gaff, yeah, pretty much. Lord Erectus says, Mike's hair caught on fire after a spark and now there's nothing left. Thanks for that. Ian Hawkins with us, says, good evening. Sorry, I should get through these. Avengi, they went Apple. Ultimate Tech Up says, I love PC cases. Unbox it, Mike. Okay, we'll do. Elsie Way says, nice, well built. Doesn't bother me if I never will buy Nvidia. Yeah, they're not great, are they? They've got a little bit of a history. Aletta says, hello, people. I always disliked Nvidia from the moment that the TNT cards come out and they bought 3DFX and basically buried them, which upset me because I was very much a 3DFX fanboy. I agree with that.
3DFX fan mam.
Fan mam.
Old man.
Yes. Thank you. Aletta's with us as well. Are you doing a letter? Glenn, we said. Aletta, Willie Bodie. Ultimate Tech. Rick H. Old Man Withers, how you doing? Paul Lamont, how you doing? J Rich says, hi, Mike and Kath. Paul Bakewell says, silence is a great way to get people to do things. It is actually, because it's the uncomfortable silence. A lot of people don't like the uncomfortable silence. So when you ask somebody a question and you're looking for an answer,
or you're getting paid per message you type.
yeah, or you're getting paid per message, yeah, that is the way to do it. James Brucinia says, Greek yogurt with some granola. Oh, I'm not a fan of granola. Can't even say it, let alone eat it.
I don't think you've even had natural yogurt by itself before. You've had natural kefir now, haven't you?
Pete Unwin's with us. Tristan G, how you doing? I made Southern Indian chicken. American curry, very spicy, good. It has yogurt in it. Oh, I do miss curries. I haven't had one of those in ages. Kenny D's with us. How you doing, Kenny? Welly Bob says, I'm here just resting up in bed watching and a bit too lazy to keep typing away. No worries, Welly Bob. KJ UK Miners, WD-40 will warm you up pretty quick and on fire. Yes, it will. Mark MC, how you doing? Says, hi, Mike Caff and Chatlanders. Mark Berry, anyone go to London to pay their respects? Someone at work went Thursday night, back Friday AM in the queue for 8 hours. Not bad. I don't think I'd leave Bristol for any reason at the moment. It's just too expensive. Ultimate Tech Hub says, I've become a fan of panoramic PC cases. Look great and cools efficiently. Yeah, I agree actually. Well, the PC behind me is pretty much panoramic, so I would have no choice but to agree. I do like the look of them. They are sometimes a little bit more complex and a little bit more to actually be able to fill them up, but we will try. So anyway, let's get on and take a look at this case. I think we've said everything I can in the chat. And let's have actually, let me have a quick drink a second. Lubricate the old larynx. That isn't code. I almost choked on that then. Trying to be a smart arse.
KJ said you missed their question. Can they put it again?
Hmm.
Oh, I think it's about Nvidia thinking back. Maybe.
Oh, my neck.
Not. You put it again.
Can you hear that on the microphone? My neck creaking. It is effed. I will, KJ. Who was it? Sorry, KJ, was it?
Yeah.
What was the question? Let's see if I can do that quickly. Missed my question. I didn't see it actually. Essie Way says, do you know if the Spark is in any way different for the Jones Bow D30?
Easy way.
I honestly don't know what is the... I've not seen that particular case, the Jones Bow D30. There's a very strong possibility it is very similar, if not the same. A lot of these manufacturers now, they will tend to use very very similar designs and just retool them to suit. I honestly don't know. I've not seen it, so I couldn't compare directly. I would imagine there potentially could be some similarities. Although, to be fair, this does look relatively unique. So, anyway, packaging wise, so Spark on that side, Micro-ATX computer case. You'll notice there's not any mentions of addressable RGB on this, because there basically isn't any. Yes? KJ, what are your thoughts on the recent tech divorce between EVGA and Nvidia? We will get into that a little bit later. That is something which I definitely want to discuss, because I do have some opinions, and I do have some theories on it as well, which you may not find popular, let's say. So do stay tuned for that. There will be some hot takes later, which no doubt I will live to regret and potentially lose subscribers for, but hey, what the hell. It's my opinion. If you don't like it, you don't have to. That is the beauty of a open platform. You don't have to watch the content. Well, semi-open. On this side, so you've got options for black, which is what we've got, hence the dots. There is a grey version as well, like a metallic grey. And also there is a white version. So if white or grey or black is your thing, you've got a choice of those. On the back of the box, it's probably got more details than it did on the other side, to be honest with you. So it's got some really unusual setup, as you can see. So starting from the top, you've got a removable grille on the top, which is always good for getting into radiators and stuff like that. Underneath that, you can mount two fans, so two 120s or two 140s. On the back, you can mount a 120 fan, although the mount looks like a 140, so I want to double check that. Obviously, radiator in the top if you want to. 240, they're saying, if it'll take 140mm fans, you might get a 280 in there, but again, we need to check out that for clearance. The rear panel is tempered glass, but not see-through apparently. It's just like a black type piece of glass. I don't kind of understand why, but I guess that adds towards the cost and the alleged quality, all that kind of stuff. A solid front panel, which is removable, gaining access to the power supply, which is mounted at the front upright, which is slightly unusual. The bottom will take three 120mm fans or two 140mm fans. You've then got 5 PCI Express blanking plates, I think it is. Nope, 4, sorry. So if you've got a dual slot card, you've still got a bit of room at the bottom for some fans to ventilate said graphics card. It is a Micro-ATX, mini ITX or ITX. Probably going to be a little bit small and look a bit weird in this sort of case, but maybe it can be done. Graphics card wise, I'm not entirely sure what you can fit in there in terms of length. If there's 3 120mm fans on the bottom, I'm guessing the power supply is not going to come all the way down, so graphics card wise, I'm guessing somewhere in the region of about 360mm. Possibly a little bit less than that, but most triple fan cards are 90mm fans or 290s and an 80, so they're going to be considerably smaller than 3 120s. There isn't a graphics card at the moment on the market that uses 3 120mm fans, so they're all going to be ideally shorter than that, so you should be fine with most of them. So yeah, slightly unusual design. There is also a removable filter on the bottom, I believe. Yeah, that is pretty much it. On this side, so case type, Micro-ATX, like we said, it's a Spark. It's got USB 3x1, a USB Type-C x1, and HD audio outputs. Micro-ATX, like I said, ATX power supply between 170 and 220 mils in length. 2.5-inch bays, there's 3. 3.5-inch bays, there is okay, so yeah, 2.5-inch times 3 plus 3.5 times 1, or 4 2.5-inch drives. So yeah, make whatever that you will. Dimensions are a VGA length. Oh yeah, like I said, so 355 mils for the VGA length, which kind of makes sense. It's got 3 120mm fans underneath it. That makes sense. Maximum CPU cooler height up to 168mm, is that? Yep, 168 mils. So Going to be a little bit tight if you're looking at something like a Noctua D15 with those 14 centimeter fans on, but pretty much all tower coolers from like your Evo 212s, the Noctua NH12U, all that kind of stuff, they're going to fit easily, no problems at all. You'd probably even get away with even larger ones like the Silentium PC, what was that one called? The Fortis 5 RGB, that would go in there quite easily as well. Case size 413mm deep, 204mm wide and 337mm in height. Carton size is not going to be very interesting. So let's break it out and see what it's all about.
Check the comments first.
So I'll look in the comments, see what is being said. Tinted tempered glass, yes. The Johnsbow D30 looks exactly the same, but £30 more expensive. Well, this is more expensive, or the Jumbo is more.
I think it's the Jumbo, but
That's what it sounds like, yeah. Rick H says, I was wondering how the power supply is mounted. Yeah, it's a front-mounted power supply, which is actually a very unusual thing, but it kind of makes sense. It's one of those things with any design which kind of veers off of the traditional ATX setup. It's always going to be, this can hurt. Oh no, no electric shocks. That's actually packaged really well.
what's what you're saying with the other actors?
Yeah. So let's move that bubble wrap. So yeah, they've done a really good job of that. I'm quite impressed. What's that say? Should you have any problems with your Gamemax product, please contact your place of purchase or your sales manager at a1.co.uk. Yeah, that'll do. So, yeah, there's a weird, I'm not entirely sure how this works. Gamemax UK, the license, from what I can tell, has been basically covered by A1 distribution for the last 20 years, maybe 15, 20 years, however long they've been going. So A1 distribution, for those who don't know, they are kind of, if you've got like a mum and pop type store, A1 distribution would be the sort of company that you would have an account with and you'd order your parts on a weekly basis to go in your shop. A1 distribution are basically that. Oh wow, that's kind of nice. That is nice. They, yeah, like I said, they've got the kind of the rights or the distribution network set up. So yeah, they're based in Bury, or however you want to pronounce it, in the United Kingdom, B-U-R-Y. So look up A1 distribution, you can find them, and you won't be able to see their prices on their site because it is only if you've got an account. So if you're like a trader, you can get an account and you can buy directly from them and get obviously discounted parts, etc. So here it is. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I thought that this might look shit. Sorry, Gamemax. This is actually very nice. The finish, the rounded corners, is a very, very swish look. This actually looks expensive. So there is the front panel, completely solid metal. As you can see, oh, that's quite thick metal as well, actually. So metal front panel. You've got your ports on the front, power button, combo headphone mic jack. Not keen on that, I'll be honest with you. USB Type-C port, and also a USB 3.0 or 3.2 Gen 1 or 3.1 Gen 2, depending on how you want to look at it. The rear side panel, this one here, is the blacked out one, so you can't actually, no, you can't see through it at all. So that is basically a black panel, but with a glass on the top of it, which looks kind of cool. I like that. I'm liking this more and more. I thought, I honestly, this is my initial impressions. As you can see, this is the first time I've taken it out of the box. I had no idea what this was like inside. And it's not, like a lot of people associate Gamemax, especially some of their cases, being like cheap tap. Like those kind of, there's brands out there. Don't get me wrong, Gamemax has been really good to me, they've sent me loads of stuff. There's a lot of cases out there on the market which are basically just cheap cases with RGB chucked on them to make them look pretty. Whereas this has no RGB, but yeah, it does look very pretty. Mounting area on the back there for, actually, This is really solid.
Can you have a look at Easy Way?
Easy way. Why?
How do you see the spark against the Alta G1M and Mushrooms?
No idea of either of those cases. Sorry, Easy way.
And KJ says like SIT brand, bit cheap.
Yeah, CIT. Yeah, definitely. CIT is basically known as being cheap rubbish, effectively. This is really good. So you got individual PCI Express blanking covers there, as you'd expect for a slightly more premium case. But the metal on this is bloody thick. I can use my measuring tool. I'll find it first. There's never enough room in here. Actually, Mr. Bodie, if you ever want to send me any gifts, if you want to send me a TARDIS, that'd be great. Because I'll have somewhere to store everything.
Just the cat under there, Maisie.
Maisie, no.
Let's see how it is.
She's probably asleep somewhere. Right, let's have a look, see, and see what's going on here. So on, and let's zero that out. So that is, I don't even know what measurement that is. I can't even see it.
Why do you think that might be?
Right, the metal is 1 millimeter thick, or 0.99 mil.
Oh, sorry.
So considering that's steel, or aluminium, or whatever it is, that's actually quite thick. Impressive. Thank you for the super chat, the unpersoning. Hi, aka Jibby Jabby. They're on scan for 65 quid. Do you think they are worth it? I want to order one in white. At the moment, I think they are. Give me a little bit longer to go through it, because obviously this is the first I've seen of it. But for 65 quid, it seems worthwhile. Right, so on the back, so Gamemax Spark logo there. That's actually got a nice little touch. Little sticker on there, Gamemax Spark. What does that say next to it? I ain't got that good eyes. GamemaxPC.com, made in China. There's a surprise. The feet on the bottom are nice. So we've got stainless steel, or not, sorry, not stainless steel, brushed aluminium with rubberized foam feet on the bottom, full length filter. Awesome stuff. Yeah, this actually seems like a decent case. So spin round onto that side. So this is what you'd normally see, the inside. So a little bit of a smoke tint. I've got some bezels around the edges there for fingerprint magnets, etc. Full size panel, can't really argue with that. And on the top, lots and lots of ventilation. Slatted. That actually looks really nice.
It looks like an Allegro's roof.
It does look a bit bizarre, doesn't it? I can't see the angle that you guys can see. Oh, nearly dropped it. Let's clear that off there. So that is actually nice, and it's decent, good quality plastics, not your cheap stuff. And on the bottom, got this massive vent and some bizarre stuff going on there. So how do you actually... I'm trying to work out what those bits are there. You got to pull those out. Yeah, so you pull those out to move the filter. Not sure what they're for, but yeah, you've got a full length filter. Actually, I'm going to have to take these out, aren't I? I don't get what those are for. No doubt something's going to fall out now when I've done that.
Aluminium is not magnetic, so easy to check with that flashlight.
Aluminium, oh yeah. Right, so steel. Yeah, so it is. Looks like the whole thing is steel. So on the bottom, we've got a mounting option for 3 120mm fans, or if you want to...
Can you get rid of the... Oh, you have.
They say a 240mm radiator. I would agree with that. I don't think you'd get a 360 rad in there. I think that would be pushing things a little bit. But all very good, like that. So to get inside, I'm guessing there's some thumb screws on the back which haven't been over tightened, which is probably a good thing because this plastic top bit You probably damage the plastic if you over tighten it too much. So undo that. I'm guessing that, yeah, pulls back. Cool. So this is the top section, and it looks like you've got more. Is that removable mesh? Right, that's actually stuck in there by the looks of things. Doesn't appear that comes out.
280mm AIO.
I would love to try and fit a 280mm AIO, but I don't physically. Actually, looking at it, no, you won't get a 280mm AIO in there. That's way too close, I think, on the top and the bottom. Well, not just sure on the bottom. This looks like it's actually. Yeah, that appears that is, oh yeah, those lugs there hold that in. So this actually, it's really nice fine mesh, so you can blow through it extremely easy. So airflow is going to be fine for that, and also it's going to stop dust and stuff getting in there, which is good. Quite often I find with a lot of cases, especially the top magnetic filters, I put them on to stop things falling in and take them off to let airflow out. So generally, depending where it is, like that one there, the magnetic ones, top and bottom, I've taken off just because they're kind of pointless and they restrict the airflow, something rotten. Whereas with that sort of mesh, it's really good for airflow. It just lets airflow through, so you don't have to think, should I remove it to get better airflow? Because basically you can't, but you don't need to either. So it's going to do both jobs very, very well. Or at least that is the theory. Calf's pointing, so I got to look at something. Don't know what. Easy way. I saw some cases fitting the 280mm on top, but using an SFX PSU. I don't think there's the room to do it. I'm going to try it. I'll take out this glass panel in a minute. So the glass. Actually, let's do the back panel first of all. Being it is actually on that side.
Got me in reflection.
Calf's in the reflection. Hide. Run. Actually, use my mic.
Maybe I could only see that.
They probably can if they rewind it a bit. Oh, where did that go? Oh, there. Not overly keen on the screws that hold in these side panels, if I was to be critical. They're just the kind of the coarse threaded screws that you normally have on like hard drives and stuff. So lift. Oh Christ, that comes off. Yeah, it doesn't. There is something on there, so you can't actually turn it back into being non-blacked out. Which is a shame. It would have been nice to be able to convert that to be see-through. So looking in the back, what have we got here? Anything of excitement? So big cutout there, that's pretty handy. Pass-throughs for your HD audio and USB and all that kind of stuff there. Nice channel at the top there for putting your EPS connector through, big hole there, and also for things like your cables for fans, RGB, that kind of stuff. This cable here is the power cable. So you've got your power plug on the back, and then that goes through to this front section, which is basically just another power cable. So that plugs into your power supply at the top here. Mounting section towards the front there for SSDs, 2.5-inch SSDs. So you can put one there. There's supposed to be some more mounting areas. Oh yeah, on the front side. Don't know where you put the 3.5-inch drive. Maybe you put that in there potentially as well. Maybe. Yeah, I think that's about the only place. Or is it on the bottom? Oh, that's probably what those are for, to go on the bottom. Okay, right, let's spin it around. Actually, just give you a look on the top now. So there is the top section. So power supply is going to go in there. You've got your 140, actually yeah, 280 radiator you would get in there. I didn't want that bit. Yeah, 280mm rad, I think you'd get in there relatively easily. Let's measure it up. So can somebody do a quick Google and see what size a 280mm rad is? Bob, thanks. If a 280mm rad in total length is going to be less than I don't know if it will be. If it's less than 295 mil, I would say it's doable with an ATX power supply. If you put an SFX power supply in there, because it takes up less room when you mount it towards the front, that's going to give you about another 10 to 15 mil on the front section. So actually saying that, even a 240 I think is probably going to be cutting it a bit fine.
Stuart's gone back 313.
313, so yeah, you got no chance, have you? No, 313, so that's going to encroach quite a bit. So I would say a 280 in the top is pretty much out of the question.
In the front bottom for 3.5 drive.
Gotcha. Oh.
So 280 mil under 307 mils in weight.
Yeah, if the 280 is less than 295 if you're using ATX power supply, if you're using SFX, it's going to give you about another 20 mil, so about 315 is cutting it fine. 315, yeah, or 310.
Stuart Cleary said 313. You said no.
313. Yeah, 313 to 315 if you're using SFX might be possible. You might end up having to actually, rather than use the mounting hardware, you might need to actually physically tape the power supply to the top of the case. Actually, I've got an SFX power supply. Do you want me to stick one in there quickly so we can see if physically it would fit? If there's enough of you that want me to do it, then I'll go ahead and do it. But I don't want to be kind of working on bits which people don't really care. No, that's beef jerky. Power supply is metal.
Which one is it?
I know, actually, there it is, thermal take, the 450 watt, yeah. O'Reilly says do it. Go for it, Mike. Okay, let's do it. Right, actually while we're in here, let's have a look. So this section here is for basically covering up the power supply area and also for mounting drives. Now you don't have to leave it in there if you don't want to. Oh, God, that is in tight. That is using the world's hardest screw. Sorry, Lord Erectus is going to be all over cum. Oh, I said cum. Shit. Kind of break Linus' screwdriver this way. Who needs Linus' screwdriver when you've got the MUB?
Said, does that
The MUB special.
Very short for MATX.
No, for Micro-ATX it's actually fine. You can get the wide Micro-ATX in there. It's actually cut out for that. So can you see that now? Does that kind of make sense now? Can you see the layout okay?
William looked up, for this case, bottom 120 mil, stroke 240 mil, stroke 280 mil.
Yeah, the bottom you could get a 280 in, I think, quite easily. Yeah, 280 would go in the bottom very easily. 300, you'd need at least, well, 400 mils roughly is what you'd need for a 360 mil rad, so yeah, no, I ain't going to do it because this ruler's 400. So you'd be right up against the PCI Express blanking plates. No. Unless it was an exceptionally short 360 mil rad with the pipes coming out somewhere on the side or something, you might get away with, but otherwise, yeah, it's no go. Right, power supply. I can do this actually, I can get a thermal take power supply in here because Gamemax won't mind, because Gamemax don't make SFX power supplies. So with an SFX power supply, this suddenly becomes considerably easier. I haven't got the adapter bracket, but so just to get the idea, so tiny little power supply, SFX 450 from Tough Power, from Thermal Take. So you could, if you wanted to, kind of mount that somewhere at the front there. Very, very... But you could probably glue it in there. I wonder if any of the screw holes will mount or match up. Buy your own fucking glue. Can I get 2 screws in there? Ooh, that's close. Yeah, actually, I might be able to get 2 screws in there. Let me see if I can actually mount it in there. It's not going to be perfect. Actually, saying that, where would it go? It would go there, wouldn't it? So that gives us... yeah, it's about... Well, if you put it in the official SFX mounting place, you'd be looking at about 310, 311. If you actually put some double-sided or some sticky on here and actually mounted it to the front panel, which you could do because it's metal, so it's not going to have any issues with burning the plastic or anything. So if you did that, that would then give you about 335 mil. And potentially then you could actually drop the power supply down a bit if you wanted to, and that would give you even more room. So then you could have anything up to about 380 mil. So putting an SFX power supply in there could make actually a lot of difference for some people. So hopefully, does that answer all the questions?
No, answer. Go to your screen.
Go to the screen, all right.
Too many. Sort of Danielle downwards.
Danielle, advantages of this layout. Put under furniture with little overhead clearance. Any other advantage than clearance? Put under furniture. Well, I suppose the main advantage is the fact that you don't have to have a front airflow type chassis setup. So some people just don't like having front mesh intake. They want to have a PC which looks very discreet, but also powerful and with good cooling. And generally, if you had a solid front panel PC, especially modern ones, they're not always the best for airflow. But being the fact that this is effectively vertical airflow rather than being traditional horizontal, there are other benefits to that as well. So graphics card wise, your graphics card is going to get much better cooling because the cool air is going to be pulled in from the bottom, ideally, and then ventilated upwards. So for me, in terms of like thermodynamics, this is the optimum solution, because if you maybe had a 3 120mm fans on the bottom, you've got your graphics card here, a single exhaust 120mm, and then a 240mm radiator in the top, that is going to be almost perfectly balanced, borderline on positive pressure. So you're going to have the 3 120mm, so that's 360 mils of airflow coming in, most of it going into your graphics card, the rest of it going up here. What goes up here is then going to circle round and be pulled into your CPU cooler or into the airflow for the radiator. And because you've got a 120 on the back and 2 120s on the top, or 240, they're not going to be generally running as fast, or maybe they will, maybe they won't. So most of the time you're probably going to be in a positive air pressure situation. So you've got the 3 at the bottom pressurizing the system, which is going to prevent dust, which should be quite good and also keep things quite cool, because then you're pushing hot air out of any available orifice. And being that heat rises and that is fully meshed at the top, it should have actually really good airflow.
Sorry, I meant easy way downwards. So 2 above that one.
Yeah, you might. I know that William said there they do support a 280mm supported radiator top. Quite often, I've had this conversation before with Techware, who made the case I made, because they said you can put a 360mm rad, and I said, well, you can't. They're like, yeah, because you can put 3 120mm fans. It's like, yeah, but 3 120mm fans isn't the same as a 360mm rad, especially in AIO, because you do have the extra bit on the end for the tank and the connections. And they're like, oh yeah, of course you do, yeah. And they actually removed the spec from their particular from their listing for the VXR. So yeah, just because it says it takes 3 120mm fans doesn't mean it'll take a 360mm rad, because you've always got the extra hangover. Nick Barnes says, question, as most of the tower coolers blow air from front to back, would that mean that you have to use an AIO instead? No, you can still use conventional air coolers. You've still got the exhaust on the back, so if you put an exhaust fan there, you've still got all the air coming in the front. It's up to you how you kind of divvy up the air. You could have it just naturally flow in towards the top. You could have it being exhausted at the back. You could have it exhausted at the top, whichever. You could, if you wanted to, potentially turn your AIO round the opposite, your air cooler the other way round, like the wrong way round. Have this as an intake, blowing straight into a CPU cooler, and then still having the 3 fans on the top, or 2 fans on the top, pulling the hot air out after. So those is an intake, that is an intake into exhausting at the top. It's kind of up to you. Any mounting holes behind the front panel? No, there's no mounting holes behind the front panel whatsoever, and it is actually riveted in. So you wouldn't be able to get any access to that at all. I guess if you wanted to, you could cut it or something, but it is pretty thick. At least 1 mil thick there, I think. Ooh. Might even be thicker than the other. 0.
On his way in.
2.3 mil, the front panel. So the front panel is actually pretty darn solid. Thicker than the rest of the case anyway.
Have you done Nick Barnes' question?
Have I done Nick Barnes? I don't know. What is that?
As most tower coolers blow air front to back, would that mean?
Yeah, I've done that.
You've done that, okay.
Matthew Day says, I meant the case itself being short, as my Micro-ATX has 4 slots, the I/O shield, and then the PSU stacked on top. Yes, definitely not as tall. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, yeah, because you don't have to have a power supply kind of mounted underneath here, or above here, then yeah, that is, it is actually quite small in terms of the total height. Actually, that's on the thing. So, total height, and to actually allow some of the air to escape, is 13 inches. The exact measurement is going to be 325 mil. So if you've got a smaller desk or a cubby hole that you want to physically put this into, you don't really need that much room. And width-wise, I think I said this earlier, but it's 205 wide, which I think is less than what it said actually in on the box. There you go. So what else have we got? So front I/O wise, you've got your usual deal. So hard drive LED plus and minus, power LED plus and minus, and power switch. No reset button. No, of course there isn't. No. That's a little bit annoying. I do like to have a reset button every now and then. Other connectivity, so you've got your USB 3.0, 2 ports there. Ah, that's very clever what they've done. So, does that come out there? No, I'm going to break it. Yeah, so what they've done is, you can buy these USB 3.0 port headers pre-wired with USB ports on the end of them. So what they've done is, rather than having a separate USB Type-C internal connection, your USB Type-C on the front is basically converted from a USB 3.2 Gen 1. So both the front panel ports are going to be maximum 5 gigabit per second transfer. I was thinking that the front panel USB Type-C was going to be a 10 gigabit per second transfer, but it's not, it's only a 5. But still, for most people, that's absolutely fine. A lot of people are only going to use a USB Type-C on the front for maybe charging their phone or their AirPods, or maybe something along those lines. Maybe plugging in a mouse, possibly, for charging, emergency purposes. Yeah, that's quite a clever, interesting design how they've done that. That's going to save money as well. So that's money they could have obviously used elsewhere. which is pretty cool. So I'm actually gonna stick a motherboard in here a minute, just so you can get an idea of what the actual sizing is like. Actually a little bit better than usual. They've got quite a lot of stuff actually in their little accessories bundle. Normally there isn't a great deal going on in here, but they've actually got some instructions and some extra mounting equipment for things like your hard drives and what have you. Cable ties, even got some... oh, I was hoping this was going to be branded Gamemax Velcro, but it's not. They've come far, but they've not come that far. They're not LTT quite yet. So I'm going to put in a board in here to see what it all looks like. Got all blacked out screws. Actually, have they given... No, it doesn't appear that they've put any additional mounting pillars for the motherboard. Oh, they have. How bizarre. So the ones that are actually in the case are silver, and there is the middle one, which has actually got the mounting notch, which is always a nice thing to have. But the other ones are blacked out. So is there going to be 2 or 3? Micro-ATX, especially if you go for the larger boards, generally only need 8 pillars. And quite often people will use 9 and then wonder why their motherboard won't start up. And it's because they've got a dead short straight away, straight out of the box, which is never good. What sort of screws are these going to be using? The fine screws, okay. So where is my motherboard standoff tool? Let's have another sip of my drink a minute. That's some ham for tea, and it's salty AF. I feel like I'm dehydrating, eh? So we'll stick that one in there. I actually like this case, I really genuinely do. It's not often that I like a Micro-ATX case, because generally there's always going to be some issue or some compromise. Normally it's like power supply or graphics card. I'm still thinking actually in terms of graphics card, depending on what graphics card you have in here, if you have a triple slot card, it is going to be very, very close to that bottom bit. So in my opinion, they could have done with having the case be an inch higher, or maybe more, and having an additional 5th PCI Express port on the back there, just to give it a little bit more room between the fans and also the graphics card. If you look at the Gamemax website, or any of the sites which actually sell this, you can see there's a couple of images with systems actually in place, and you can see that the graphics card, if you've got fans in the bottom, does come like really, really close. And if you've got a card which sags a bit as well, it's probably going to be even worse. Anyway, let's find a motherboard.
Oh my withers says I'd like a small case with paper glass on the right side, so the left. What one was it we had that did that?
Yeah, if you want a case like that, just look for an inverted ATX or inverted Micro-ATX. There was the oh, what was the brand? It was the German brand that did cases that we used to have. Oh, I can't think. Sharkoon do one. I think it's the AK50 or something. Hello, Poppy. Who's that pinging? Hello, Skystalker. How are you doing? Hello, Poppy. How are you doing? There's a lot of crap on this desk right now.
Hey, Pop.
I'm definitely going to mess up these screws. Right, let's put in our IO shield. Actually, it's quite nice to work on this case. It's quite easy to get to everything. It's nice that there isn't a power supply basement or anything like that to get in the way. I like that. Actually, maybe I can do an overhead shot of putting the motherboard in. I think we probably have the technology. Poppy, what are you doing? There we go, so overhead shot, is that visible? Oh, nearly. Let's See if I can get some more light on there. Poppy, don't eat my microphone, Baba. That actually hasn't helped, has it? Is that visible enough? Can you see that okay? There's Poppy. She's come in to say hello. So here are the ASRock B450M Steel Legend. And you see in the bottom corner here, there's no extra pillar, which normally would be in that bottom corner. And this, I'd say, is probably one of the wider Micro-ATX boards. That fits in there pretty darn well. I'm not going to do all the screws, I'll just do a few just so it doesn't fall out. So hopefully with that in place now, you can get an idea of how much clearance is going to be at the bottom. So if I put a fan in the bottom, kids, if you're at home watching this, don't put fans in your bottom. It's not a good thing to do. So MSI 120mm fan, standard width. So if you imagine that is going to be kind of there, then if you put a graphics card on top of that, it's not going to give you a huge amount of room. There is going to be, actually I could measure it because I do have my measuring implements to hand. So if your graphics card, well, from the center of the fan to the middle of the graphics card slot is about 45 centimeters. Now this board in particular actually has got quite a low slot because it's got PCI Express ×1 slot above it. So if that slot was in the next one up, that would be a little bit better actually. So potentially this board may not be a perfect solution for this particular case. Still doable, there's no reason why you couldn't. But just warning, so if you're thinking of putting a video card in there which has got maybe 2.5 inch bay, or maybe even 3, then you might want to just leave those blank and just have it draw in fresh air in and have it set as negative pressure like a NZXT case. So pulling in from the bottom just through convection, 2 fans at the top, 1 fan on the back, and just have it pulling in air. That would still do a pretty good job actually. Negative pressure can work quite well in that instance and can actually be quite quiet as well. Hey ordinary dude. So yeah, not bad, not bad. Let's go back to the other camera and see if I can tidy up some of this crap. I have made a right mess here, haven't I? What time is it? So I'm gonna start deconstructing this now. So I think we've probably seen enough for now. Unless there's any other specific questions you have on this, in which case we can address those. Sorry, Kath, could you stick that back up? Thank you. And let me turn that around so you can see a little bit better now. So in terms of space, what they've used inside, they've actually done a pretty good job because they've filled up that Micro-ATX area quite well. And there's still quite a decent drop between the top here and the actual motherboard. So if you are thinking of putting water cooling in the top there, you've got plenty of room. And in fact, I can measure that as well quickly while I'm here. If I can get my measuring thing's too big. I've got need of a smaller one. So between the top of the case and the top of the VRM is 57 millimeters. In real money, that is 2¼ inches. So that's actually a pretty decent amount of room there for if you're putting RGB RAM and also a water cooler in. which I probably might do in here. I might put the Gamemax 240mm AIO in there in the top section. And potentially just have maybe three Arctic P12 fans on the bottom, pulling air in. That might be quite a nice solution. So just have their standard black fans on the bottom, 3 of them. Maybe have an addressable RGB fan out the back, and have the addressable RGB 240mm AIO at the top. So the bottom section looks a little bit darker, have the top bit a little bit brighter. It might work out quite nicely. Something also to consider actually, if you are going for water cooling potentially on the bottom area, is the fact that because you've got things like this for plugging in USB 3 ports, they're obviously going to stick out a little bit. So that is going to encroach into the space at the bottom.
Turn it on and then stick the ruler in there.
So yeah, that is something else to consider. Side mounted ports here, that's going to be fine. The bottom ones might need to be a little bit careful. Oh, sorry.
I don't think it makes much difference this time.
So anyway, there you go. So I'm going to pack this away a little bit now. And if you want to discuss any other topics which may be on your mind, actually a quick last call, if there's anything else which anybody wants me to measure or to look at on here. I think I've missed out a load of comments actually. Oh, balls. Where are we? Oh, that one there. I know I should have done all the screws, that would have been a lot easier. James Brock says turn on mic, then stick the metal ruler in there. Bang. David Underhill's with us as well. Morning all. Not in a good headspace today, oh dear. Never have been my poor old mum's birthday, anniversary or death. Oh, that's sad, isn't it? Someone dying on their birthday. That is piss poor. Our condolences.
How much space for cable management?
For cable management on the back, there's actually quite a bit of room there in various places, depending where you're going with it. So at the bottom here, not so much for putting through the smaller cables for your USBs and stuff, but in terms of wiring for the actual power supply, so that is going to be kind of there. So because the power supply is going to be in the front, your cable management is all going to be mostly in this area here and a little bit around the top to take your EPS connector in. But other than that, the cable management, you don't really need much on the back or the bottom because it's all kind of going into the sides of it. We will be doing a build in this coming up, so most of those questions will be answered. Probably in a frustrated rage.
On Gamemax site, this case with SLI.
Is it?
That
wouldn't surprise me. Their marketing department is, how can I say, imaginative. It's probably the kindest thing I can say. Let's put that there. Actually, fair dues. You actually find that a lot. There's a lot of companies where they, if you look at the actual stuff.
Full size one. Is there a full size one?
I think there probably is going to be a full size one. Yeah. A lot of companies will do marketing, and they'll design a case, and they'll get one of the kind of the Chinese OEMs to mock it up, and quite often companies will use those mock-ups as an actual kind of this is what you're going to get, when in fact obviously this is just a digital mock-up before it's gone into production, so it doesn't always look quite the same. This to me actually looks very different from the mock-ups I've seen on, I think it was CCL's site today. It doesn't look a great deal like it at all. It actually looks nicer, I think. Lucky Man says that PCIe USB 3.0 card we both got works fine, fired up first boot. Awesome. Dutch Jan says Crossfire is coming back. Crossfire is definitely not coming back. Crossfire is dead and buried. Someone was saying that the new 40 series cards don't have any SLI connectors on them. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that SLI is dead, it just means that it's not going to be done through NVLink. It's going to be done through the chipset, which the chipset probably can carry more bandwidth than NVLink could anyway.
Dave Hall's here from Bristol.
Hello.
Wisconsin, I can't say it.
Ah, Wisconsin. Dave Hall, hello. How you doing? And hello, James Brock. EVGA Nvidia. Yes. What are your thoughts on that? We'll go into that. While I'm putting this away and sorting out my entire life here and trying to work out which screws are actually ones that I need to put things back in the case with. That is something which I should have considered actually. Maybe laying, oh no, I did, I laid those out well. Well done, Michael. You did well. So yeah, let's wrap this part of the video up now and let's get on and talk about something which is going to matter, I think actually to a lot of us, is the whole Nvidia and EVGA divorce, effectively. So for those of you that haven't worked out already or haven't heard, EVGA have publicly said that they are no longer going to be participating in partnering with Nvidia for the future production of video cards, starting with the upcoming 40 series, which will be announced officially on the 20th, we believe. I say we believe, we kind of know that's it's common knowledge, but until they've actually done it and said it, who knows? Anything could happen. And in this industry, it quite often does. There could be delays, there could be anything that happens to stop that from being an actual thing. So, yeah, I guess really the question is, what are your thoughts on it? Do you believe everything that has been said? I personally have mixed views on it, which at the moment EVGA are being seen as the kind of the good guy in all this, which they might well be. I don't know. I don't know the individuals personally. All I know is that they are a business. They are in the business to make money, although from what we've heard reported from Steve, Gamers Nexus, and also from Jay's 2 cents in the media, is that Andrew Han, who is the CEO and owner of EVGA, the brand, the company, he was more hinting that Nvidia, basically, he'd got pissed off with them just shafting him at every opportunity. And from what we can tell, it is a very much a kind of universal thought within the industry that a lot of people, including board partners and media persons who do videos and kind of report on all this stuff, they feel the same as well, that Nvidia is ass her. Oh, blimey. Brick H, God bless you. $100. Date night money for you and Lady Calf for all the hard work you guys do for the channel. Thank you. No, thank you. $100. That is pretty insane. That's going to keep me in Thermal Grizzly for the foreseeable. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Wow. I am. I haven't had.
Shocked. I couldn't just
yeah.
myself.
That's a big chunk of money. Are you sure about that, Rick? You can ask for a refund if you want after. Wow. I've lost my train of thought now. Thank you so much. Yeah, Dutch Jan, sorry. Yeah, Nvidia seems like a bad partner. Yeah, it is. Generally, it seems that Nvidia, they basically kind of rule with somewhat of an iron fist. If you were to use some sort of analogy or some kind of characteristic, you could quite easily imagine Nvidia being the kind of Darth Vader and the Empire, and all the other companies being basically the rebellion. So to put it into Star Wars terminology, it's kind of very much that Nvidia have fought their way to basically the #1 position, and their market share of graphics cards and graphics processing things, and AI especially, is basically sewn up. Nvidia have got it wrapped up. They really have. Whether or not they've gone about it in the right way, whether or not they've just made good acquisitions along the way, maybe they've bullied their way to the top. It does happen. It's not unusual. It's just that we are in one of those very, very sort of unusual... It's a very small market. I think Linus actually said this. And basically kind of everybody knows everybody else. So if you treat somebody badly in this industry or in this market, then basically everybody else knows about it because it gets around very quick. It's like one of these kind of typical like small neighborhoods, like little cul-de-sac, where everybody knows what's going on. There's curtain twitchers everywhere. And yeah, it does seem that it's very reminiscent of that. So for Nvidia to go around all the time screwing over their partners, these are business partners of mine. Let's not kind of mess around. It's not like you going around to your friend's house and saying, "Oh yeah, I'll sell you a graphics card," and your friend saying, "Well, how much is it going to be?" And your friend saying, "Don't worry, it's all right. We're cool. We got this." And then they come around and they spend a bit of time. They put the graphics card in your PC, they fire it all up, install the drivers, and then you say, "Oh, that's brilliant, great, but how much is this costing me?" It's that kind of relationship, which most of us wouldn't put up with that in real life. And in business life, when there's literally hundreds of millions of pounds at stake, that has got to be magnified massively, because not only are the shareholders involved and they're wanting to know, like, how much money are we making on this? Or are you going to be able to put a profit on this? It's a very weird situation. David Aitken says, £2 super chat and good night, MK dudes and dudettes. Night, Dave. All the best. Get on and do some. Get on. Yeah, thank you, and get on and do some DIY at your house. I bet you're sick to death of that by now. It just drag on, doesn't it? I need this. Is there special thumb screws for the back? Yes, there is. So yeah, it is that kind of relationship, and of course, like EVGA, I don't believe are a public company. I don't think they have. I think they're wholly owned by EVGA themselves, and as are probably quite a few other companies that are dealing with Nvidia. So they're kind of got to a point where they were thinking they were getting into a good thing, getting into bed with the market leader, which obviously makes sense. If you're going to sell graphics cards, you might as well sell the most popular ones. But then when Nvidia started turning around and saying things like, well, you can only sell our graphics cards, so if you want to work with AMD or another graphics card manufacturer, then you can't work with us. Thanks for helping us to get to our position that we're in now, but basically, screw you. So that is, that's not a nice position to be in, but companies do that. There are a lot of companies that certainly, if they think they can get away with it, they will certainly try and impose that kind of measure on people that work with them or work for them or whatever, partners, etc. There has been cases where I've actually known of this myself, where there's been companies have said, if you're going to do this, we can't really do that. Or if we send you X case, you have to build it with X components in. We don't want to see our case with other components in. So that definitely does happen. The market is in a place where they kind of know that they're in a position of power, and they do exercise that quite regularly, which is a real shame, because the market could be a very nice and very cool place to work and to do stuff. But yeah, it's things like this which go against the grain. So let's see what some of you guys are saying. Mark Perry says, I find your lack of faith a bit disturbing. Definitely. Dutch Jan says, question, if Crossfire doesn't come back, why have the new X670E main boards 2x GPU Gen 5 slots? Well, there are some things that make use of it. there are some very, very obscure pieces of software, especially high-end software like CAD software, which can still make use of it. It's just that most game drivers or game manufacturers won't spend the time and money creating a driver for a technology which basically less than kind of 0.001% of people actually use. Which makes sense. Why support something which is so irrelevant to the actual marketplace that you're dealing with? Let's be honest here, when it comes to things like SLI, if you look at the latest Steam hardware survey, 1080p is still by far the most popular resolution of PC gamers. And of those PC gamers, most of them only use a single monitor, and the majority of them are on a card such as a GTX 1060, I think it was, 1066 gig, I think is still like the #1 card. So the market, and as much as they want to push for it, most of the stuff is pointless. Like SLI would be actually quite handy for some people in that position. So if you can get another 1066 gig, put it with your existing one and maybe get a 1.75% improvement in performance, then yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But then you're using a lot of electricity, might need another power supply, etc, etc. So it's all a little bit of a gamble, but potentially worthwhile. The super chat from Stuart Cleary, 20 euros. Thank you very much. Appreciation for your unbiased and honest reviews. Thank you very much, sir. They probably are slightly biased, but in my own way, not towards the individual or company which has sent me said product. We all have bias. I actually, years ago, when I worked at the BBC, we had to go on a course about unconscious bias. And
do that out loud.
yeah, Kath, you did actually verbalise that thought then. And yeah, it was one of those things that you had to go on a course to learn how not to do unconscious bias. If you think about what that actually says, unconscious bias. So, if you're unconscious of your bias, do you actually have a bias? Normally, being biased towards something would mean that you actually have a view which is reflected because of a personal value or thought. If that's unconscious, is it a thought? No, because it's unconscious. Anyway, I digress.
But then they had a manual handling teacher who had both his knees replaced by the time he was 30 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, it's all a load of crap. Anyway, yeah, getting back to the story. So, SLI and Crossfire have never worked particularly well. It's always been one of those very niche things. And in fact, one of the few things now which actually still does support SLI is 3D Mark. And that is kind of basically why some people still actually use it. So 3D Mark is kind of one of the few ways of actually benchmarking a system to get a crazy result and being on a leaderboard. And obviously, depending on what graphics card and what motherboards you use to do that, it's like kind of one of those kudos things, isn't it? It's like if a manufacturer wins the Formula 1, depending on what engine they've got in their car and who sponsors it and what oil they use and what tyres they use, etc, etc. It's all part of that kind of whole scheme. And I think that is basically what's keeping SLI alive. I don't think there's anything else other than that. It's just bragging rights. A lot of companies started doing it at one point with memory. It's like world's fastest memory. It's like, well, great. That's fantastic, but does it really make a great deal of difference at the end of the day? Most people don't care if it's the fastest. They just care if they can afford it and it actually works. Most people will take affordability and the fact that it works over anything. Sorry, I don't know what Kath's doing there. She's putting me off. Let's put that in there. Right, so I've never drank a minute. My throat is seizing up. Okay, so let's have a look, see what you guys are saying. Lucky Man says unconscious bias. That means dead motherboard. I was actually, that was going through my head as I was saying those words, I'll be honest. Subconscious. Subconscious, yeah, subconscious, or I suppose subconscious is the same sort of thing.
Phrases, though.
Yeah, the BBC is asshole. I do love that. I keep on leaving that now. If there's ever an Nvidia video done by any of my peers, I always put on there Nvidia asshole. And I suggest you do the same. I'm kind of, I don't know how people think. I've got an Nvidia graphics card. I'm not overly happy about it, as you've probably already heard me say. But I don't know, what do we do from here? Do we as a community kind of all pull together and say, actually, no, we won't stand for this? Like, if it was another company, such as, look at Nike. Nike were exploiting basically sweatshops in various countries to make their trainers. And they had a massive fall from grace because people were boycotting them like crazy. And I imagine people still do because of their previous marketing. So is Nvidia going to be the next Nike, where people have just saying, right, no, we've had enough. We're not going to have you exploiting the market. And when they actually came out the other day and said that they are deliberately going to manipulate the market to get a better share or better profit margins on their graphics cards, that basically is them openly saying in a public forum, or semi-public forum, that they are going to screw you and me just to make more profits. That isn't really the sort of company that I want to deal with, I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying that any of the other companies are saints and they do...
The ethos of moves.
Yeah, most companies will do it, but most companies have got either the intelligence or the kind of self-awareness to not publicize it, or to do it in a way which doesn't piss off their client base, which is us, effectively, the public. Nvidia sells a lot of stuff to manufacturing, to people like Tesla and all that kind of stuff. I think some of Tesla's AI is using Nvidia chips. I could be wrong. I might have just made that up in my head. Potentially, I'm right. Yeah, my subconscious bias just updated to BIOS version 3.2, and suddenly Teslas are powered by Nvidia. I could be wrong, but yeah, you get the idea. I personally would like to see some sort of backlash against Nvidia for their marketing policies. I genuinely would. I don't think it's fair. I think they're far too big for their boots, and they've got to the point now where they clearly show that they just don't care. They genuinely don't care about us. They definitely don't care about their business partners. And it is, I guess some of it is kind of possibly a cultural thing. There are some companies in certain parts of the world where it's kind of survival at all costs. And if that is something which is a cultural thing within their company or their environment, then to some extent it's excusable. But being that we're in this kind of new global world and global economy, wouldn't it be... Well, obviously it would be better if we all work together in a common goal, whereas Nvidia clearly are just like screwing the pooch. And we're helping them by buying loads of graphics cards. But now that the crypto craze has kind of effectively not ended, but Ethereum was one of the more popular coins, and being that is now not doing GPU mining, Nvidia have lost a massive market share, or a massive outlet for graphics cards. So maybe that might bring them down a peg or two as well. I don't know. Let me know what you think. My BIOS is Windows 11 compatible. Chris Hartford says, I'm experimenting with solar. I don't want to pay for any electricity. Good for you, Chris.
What about the standing charge there?
Yeah. Standing charge is the thing we have to work upon. So you have to work on getting rid of your electricity meter to get rid of your standing charge. That is where the bulk of your bill is, the standing charge. Even if you didn't use your electricity all day long,
It's the same with our gas.
you've still got a standing charge which you have to pay. Well, legally, technically you don't, but you do. Rick H. Will Radeon GPUs work fine with Intel CPUs? They will. Now, there's always been this thing that Radeon GPUs against Nvidia, generally Radeon CPUs have a slightly higher driver overhead. So, how can I put that a better way? The language in the drivers that Nvidia uses is easier for the Nvidia cards to process. So it puts less of an overhead on. So regardless of which CPU you use, Intel or AMD, an Nvidia card with exactly the same specifications would be faster than AMD's equivalent because of the overhead between the CPU talking to the driver, talking to the graphics card. Now AMD are doing a lot of good stuff recently and their drivers are getting better and they are finding more and more ways of actually talking directly on a sort of a machine code base straight to the graphics card. So that is getting better. But yeah, to answer the question, generally AMD cards will work just as well as an Nvidia card on any given platform. And personally, if you've got a AMD platform, sticking with a Radeon driver is probably better for you because obviously AMD make the graphics card, they make the motherboard effectively, the chipset, and they make the processor. So everything is kind of tested together and in theory should be optimal. Theory. Aletta says we should buy all of Nvidia's stock so we can control the company. That's not a bad idea actually. KJ says bring on the Arc. And Nvidia sponsorship is now out of the window. To be honest with you, Nvidia, from what I can gather, are the absolute shittest payers of all the sponsors. So, if you had the choice... Yeah, well this is from Linus. Linus is saying of all the sponsors, they were basically the tightest of the lot. So they wouldn't pay for anything, they wouldn't... if they asked for money for certain things, they would basically not do it. So, I don't think anyone's losing out there. They're one of those typical companies that are just cutthroat. And there are companies out there that like it. I'm trying to think of a typical example. Amazon. Amazon are in a very similar situation, whereas they are cutthroat, but they are more ruthless towards other businesses rather than to the customer. So they get a little bit of a pass because obviously they've got millions or billions of customers. Yeah, it is what it is. But Nvidia are doing it the other way, so they're being cutthroat to not only their business partners, their competitors, and also their end users. So it's basically everybody gets shafted, which is shit. Ugly Bob says, I wonder if any of the other AIBs will follow suit and chuck Nvidia. The trouble is, because Nvidia demanded that any other companies would not be allowed to make other graphics cards, if they did do that, it's going to mean that it's going to be one of those situations where, like say for instance Zotac, for a probably a good example. Now they make Nvidia cards. I don't think, I'm going to have to check now, I don't think they make any AMD cards. No, they don't, do they? I'm sure they don't. So if they turn around and said, right, okay, we're not going to make any more Nvidia cards, we're just going to do AMD cards from now on, there's always going to be that gap in the middle. And most companies, when they're working on like maybe a 5 to 10% margin of profits, which some of these AIBs are working on that. They're working on very, very small profit margins because Nvidia are basically crucifying them in every way, shape or form, and also telling them how much they have to sell a product for. Like, that is just insane. Just imagine for a minute that you license a product or you buy a product to then manufacture to your own specification to some extent, and then retail, but then for the company you bought the product off to say you cannot sell this product that we've sold you to anybody else for less than or more than this amount of money. Yeah, but GHD don't license. Oh yeah, they suppose they do to retailers, yeah. Yeah, GHD is another company that have done that. GHD is Good Hair Day. They make styling tong things for straightening your hair or something. And basically, if you were a retailer, you could sell GHDs in your shop, but you had to sell it at their specified retail price.
And they were the only ones allowed to do sales.
And they were the only ones allowed to give discounts at any time. So yeah, they were basically doing a Nvidia, but on a smaller thing. Ugly Bob, China is asshole. Thank you, Bob. I'm going to make that into a thing on my Steam Deck. Asshole. Microsoft, there is... Microsoft are in a very similar situation, although they don't... I suppose that's why you get a lot of those grey market sellers selling license keys, because technically, if you sell a Microsoft license key, you're supposed to sell it for X amount of pounds. So the grey market sellers sell it for whatever they want.
Premium CD keys.
David Underhill says, I just had my meter replaced by a new smart meter with 4G link in. In Australia, stand-in charge is $1. Let's hope they keep it at $1. Quite often, I'm not going to dramatize it, but it's always that hook and switch. So they give you an offer. They say, look, switch over to a smart meter and we'll reduce your standing charge to $1 or whatever the deal is. And then a year later, they're like, we're actually, that offer's up now, so we're going to be upping your standing charge. And then it gets more and more and more. And it's like, then you've got a smart meter which nobody wants to touch and you can't get rid of very easily. And you're kind of like, oh, shit. And that's how they do it. They trick us in, get you into an ecosystem, and then you're screwed. But make the most of it while it's cheap. That's all I'll say. Rick H says, thanks for the info, no worries. CPT White says, pretty sure it's Nvidia's drivers that have a larger overhead mic. Hardware Unboxed did a video on it a year or two ago showing a CPU limited situation. Nvidia cards were impacted more heavily. Really? Because it always used to be the other way around, that Nvidia's drivers were better. And that is why Nvidia cards generally could get away with using less video RAM, because the way they compressed the images was better as well. So compression technology was better. I think the compression technology was actually a leftover from the old 3DFX range cards, possibly. But I will check that out, CPT White, or Captain White, sorry. William Bodie says, is Nvidia from China? Well, technically they're not, they're from Taiwan, but that's a very grey area. Is China Taiwan, or...
I'm not very good at geography.
Yeah, I'm not very good at geography. Taiwan is kind of there. China is there. There's a little bit in between. But Taiwan declare their own independence, but China are basically kind of annexing them. There's possibly going to be an invasion at some point, but let's not talk about that. As Bob says, China is asshole. I'm not sure I've seen that meme, but it cracks me up. Chris Hartford says, Nvidia could partner with PMY and be the sole producer of their cards. Makes good business sense. The thing is, Nvidia, obviously, they do their Founders Edition card, which they potentially could fab themselves. I'm not sure if they do or not, or whether PMY or some other company. It used to be EVGA made the Founders cards, but I think it's someone else now. I don't really follow it, to be honest. I don't really care. But potentially, because Nvidia are also screwing the pooch by saying, right, you can't sell this 3060 Ti for less than X amount of dollars, and then they come out with their own Founders Edition card cheaper. So your MSIs, your Asus, your Gigabyte, PMY, Zotac, etc., they're all there with these graphics cards thinking, right, I've got a 3060 which costs more than your 3060 Ti, and you expect me to be competitive in the market. How? How actually is that a thing? So Nvidia are like, oh, they're going to buy all. Look at Nvidia cards. They always sell out, don't they? Founders Editions cards, always out of stock, or generally always out of stock. And this is because they're undercutting every single one of their other business partners. That is just basic, this shit. That is like if you've got a brother or a sister or whatever, and you tell them one of your main secrets. And you say, oh, don't tell anyone, it's a total secret. And then on Christmas Day, in front of the whole family, they turn around and go, did you know that? Haha. And you're like, why? Why did you just stab me in the back like that? I thought we were friends. I thought we were relatives. We were brothers or sisters. And you've basically screwed me. And that is what Nvidia do every single day to their business partners. It's bad. It really is bad. Like I said, I'm not going to say that no other companies do it, because other companies clearly do. But Nvidia just do it with such glee, it appears. David Underhill says retail price fixing is totally illegal in Australia. I suppose, yeah, because technically I suppose it's almost a conspiracy. Because if they're telling retail, no, I suppose it's not, is it? It kind of is, but it isn't. Blake says, if you don't want to support them, then don't buy Founders Edition. To be honest with you, I wish I hadn't. I never liked the Founders Edition cards, period. I'd have much rather had an EVGA card or the equivalent price or equivalent power AMD card. But because of my stupid ability to not learn DaVinci and to be able to use an AMD card in my system, then yeah, that is it. William Bodie says that the Chinese are buying up a lot of Ubisoft right now. That's interesting. I don't know why they would bother, but yeah. James Miscellaneous says that'd be funny for them having to do all the hard work. Think people hate them now. Mark Barry says, didn't Microsoft buy up most of their competitors or companies that had technology that they were interested in? Yeah, they did. Pretty much, they clawed their way to the top as well. Apple did the same as well. Steve Jobs famously, when he was ejected from Apple, then went up to start up the new company, which was Next, N-E-X-T, and basically tricked the entire industry into thinking he had the next hot thing. So Apple bought their operating system from Steve Jobs to go on, which basically would turn out to be OS X. At that point, their operating system was nothing more than a PowerPoint slide. They had nothing. Nothing worked. Even on launch day for the NEXT Cube computer. It's actually really interesting if you go back and find out the history on it. But yeah, they actually could not show the operating system working on launch day because they didn't have one that worked. And they tricked everybody, and basically Apple bought NEXT and Steve Jobs into the bargain, and they had basically nothing. It was fantastic. It was a stroke of genius, but it's basically that same thing. It's like, yeah, you buy companies to get the technology you need. KJ says Chromebook is slowly catching up with Microsoft. Give it time and businesses will decide who they want. I honestly don't think Chromebook is ever going to become a PC. It is by default, or by definition, a personal computer. But because of that always-on technology and basically it being a cloud device effectively, there's still people that are really kind of like, I don't really like that. I'll tell you actually a really interesting story of someone who was actually working on a Word document, and they posted, sorry, not a Word document, into a Google app, whatever their Word thing is. They posted a link to another article into that document. This is live, like a shared document. They're typing it in, and they had a notification in their email saying that the link that they'd just posted into their document was against the terms and conditions of Google's usage, and they would not be able to produce that document. That is scary. The fact that you could be working on your own computer in a Word document or a text document, which is private in theory, literally you copy and paste a link into that document and you get an email almost instantaneously from Google saying this is not allowed. That is scary. And that is basically what a Chromebook is all about. It's all online, it's all monitored by Google. I find if you like Google and you like their services and you feel that personally your information and what you share is free information to anybody, knock yourselves out, go for it. Why do you think Google give those things to school kids and to adults in education systems? Because now Google knows more about the younger generation, what they like, what they don't like, what they share, what they think about, what they learn at school. Google knows all of that. And from that they can go, right, well, we know what this generation's up to, so let's tailor products for them. It's a classic thing of basically grabbing information. Chromebook, unless it was ridiculously cheap and was offline, I would not be interested. It's way too intrusive. And I'm not a paranoid person, but that is just like, that's taking things too far. Alessa says, I quit using Nvidia cards because I didn't like the drivers. Yeah, I think the AMD drivers and the Adrenaline is more feature packed and very easy to use. I wouldn't say it's as stable. I've had more crashes with AMD than I have with Nvidia. I've said this before, and yeah, it's down to the individual, but you know what I mean. Arali says, I wish 3DFX cards still existed. Love the 3DFX Voodoos. Yes, me too. I've always said there was kind of a couple of big things in computing which really made me go like, wow. And that was SSD and 3DFX. Between the two of them, those were the two biggest movers and shakers for the industry, in my opinion. Oh, thanks, David Underhill. I understand. Gotcha. Mark Berry says, I've just set up a 1070 for my son's PC last week, and the Nvidia control panel was a lot of faffing around compared to AMD Adrenaline. Yeah, it is piss poor. It really is. Chris Hartford says, PNY make Nvidia's Quadro cards. Oh, thanks for that. I didn't know that. Good, thank you. Lucky Man says, PNY, good company. They no asshole. This is borderline racist, I think, but it's still quite amusing, so there's no malice involved. Captain White says, just touching on the overhead thing, yes, Nvidia used to have better texture compression, but that's a different area, and that's like 20 years ago. We're talking about CPU cycles being used. Okay, I might have to look into that, because that would be educational for me. Riley says, technically the history of Taiwan, that's China and Taiwan put together. Christ, I can't even say it. China and Taiwan, my apologies, is that during the Chinese Civil War, the more democratic part was chased off to the mainland, to the island of Taiwan by the Chinese Communist Party. Oh, right, thank you. Thank you, William. It's assholes. KJ says, PMY and Lenovo make cheaper business GPUs using Nvidia. I guess one of them is founder and maker. Gotcha. Well, Bill, think this is going to damage Nvidia more than EVGA. Now, actually, let's get back to that. So something which this is going to be probably, a lot of people are going to be upset by me saying this, but I think it potentially could be true. And as I've always said to all of you, both in my public life and also in my personal life, you should always look at all avenues and don't consider any specific narrative to be the de facto answer, because in this world we live in at the moment, there's so much deflection and inversion. It's just incredible. And what is normally told you to be true is generally the exact opposite. So with that said, with the EVGA announcement, so let's look at some of the things here. So the owner of EVGA, Andrew Han, is something in his early 60s, I think, possibly, coming up to potentially retirement age. He publicly said, or at least said in an interview, that he wanted to spend more time with his family. Again, very commendable and seems like a very valid thing to do. So, slightly older, plenty of money, obviously, has a very established company, which I would assume is making some money. Slightly older, wants to spend time with his family, stepping back. Thanks, KJ. So there's some kind of backgrounds. Now, the timing of this, you could look at it in another direction, which I personally initially thought. I thought, hang on, there's a couple of things else here in the background which potentially could be it. So EVGA obviously make decent graphics cards. We know this. It's not a mystery. We know that they make good graphics cards. We also know that they've got a good relationship with Nvidia, and obviously a lot of miners use EVGA's cards. So to have an announcement the day after that a massive part of the GPU mining industry is basically stopping for the merge for Ethereum, Nvidia have lost an absolute boatload of customers, but EVGA must have been feeling it as well, because obviously they're one of the main graphics card distributors, massive market share, miners buy cards from them. So if I look at it another way, Andrew Han, slightly older, looking at his later years, wanting to step back a bit, also wants to spend time with his family, pissed off with Nvidia as well, the mining industry basically imploding underneath him after he's cleared out of his inventory. If you're a businessman, which clearly he is, if you'd just ridden the world's biggest wave in graphics card manufacture and distribution in history, and also profit margins because of the prices that people have been paying, this is a perfect time to basically pull the plug. But if you were to pull the plug for a purely financial reason, that's going to look really bad. And there's a lot of customers who will be like, well, I want to buy EVGA cards. I don't care if you've just decided that's enough. You want to retire and have some time with your family and pocket your cash. I don't care. I want to buy a graphics card. So for them to turn around and say, we're getting out of the business, we blame Nvidia. Why not blame Nvidia last year? Why not blame Nvidia 2 years ago? Why not do it 5 years ago? They've been working with them for 22 years. So it's not like it's kind of, this is a new thing. So my opinion is, potentially looking on the flip side of things, yes, they've been screwed by Nvidia, as most people have, but I think it actually ties quite nicely in to someone who's trying to basically do their kind of golden handshake. They've rinsed the money out of the market. They know the market's pretty much dead on its ass. So get out now while the going's good and blame it on somebody else. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm not saying that is the case, but I'm not saying that you should necessarily rule that out. Because potentially, if I was in the same position, if YouTube got to the point now where we were making hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars every single day on a specific thing, and then that specific thing come to an abrupt end, and I'm pissed off with YouTube anyway for taking 30% of all the money we make, like, it would be a thing to say, well, I'm not doing this anymore, I've had enough. Screw you, YouTube, I've had enough, I'm going. Despite the fact that there's other factors which actually were more meaningful, but I felt like I could blame someone. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I really think that could be a possibility. He would have definitely experienced a lot of pressure. He even experienced pressure from Gamers Nexus and Jay's 2 Cents. They're saying like, please don't. We like using your graphics cards. You've got great support, etc. Please don't leave the market. Or please do something else.
Scroll to the bottom.
And they didn't. So that's my opinion. It potentially might be a contributing factor also. Let's see what you say. Chris Artford says, there are no sudden decisions in business. Expect to see EVGA launch something or a new partnership very soon. I would hope that they would do something else. But there was also that kind of, that line in the sand, because they said they weren't looking to partner with any other things, and they are shutting down the GPU business, as they didn't want to be disrespectful to the relationship or something, which again, Steve and Jay both questioned that comment, saying, well, if they've been disrespecting you for all this time, what is the problem? which again makes me think that perhaps he's seen this trajectory of graphics card sales and it's peaked and now it's starting to level or drop. And you're thinking, right, now's the time to call it a day. I don't know. It's just a thought-provoking thing. I always look at other things going on in the background. That's been my thing. I always overanalyze and look at all the kind of, if you give me 2 answers, I'll give you like 4 different versions of those same answers.
Like Sean Locke when he sees that porn star in the swimming pool and he asks where she got her wallpaper.
Yeah. So, what is anyone saying? No one's replying to that.
Viewers are dropped.
That's it. Everyone's left. They've had enough. I don't believe what you're saying, Mike. You crazy bastard.
Baldy bastard.
Letta says, I like EVGA PSUs, but I've never had one of their GPUs. Always liked Sapphire or XFX. EVGA might have had an exclusivity period to expire. Potentially, that is a thing. But I think if there was that exclusivity thing, you'd imagine they would have probably discussed that and said something along the lines of, we have an exclusivity period or a cooling off period where we're not allowed to jump ship for X amount of months, which that would have made more sense. But then that might be opening up a gate to them doing something else with another company. AMD realistically should be straight on the phone to EVGA and say, look, what's up? And it'd be interesting if AMD turn around and say that they have approached EVGA and EVGA have turned them down. I would say that backs up my theory even more. That he's basically seen the writing on the wall, thinking, I'm getting too old for this shit. I've made a lot of money. Let's quit while the going's good. And I don't disrespect him for that, because, like I said, I would probably do the same thing in the same situation. Paul Lamont says, I bet they expand more into their motherboards, maybe. I don't know. I don't think that there's enough of a market for EVGA's motherboards. Actually, let's have a quick show of hands. There are 50 plus of you watching this at the moment. So how many of you out there have actually owned an EVGA motherboard or actually have one now at this moment? Or possibly have considered buying one? I want to let me know in the comments. Have you ever had an EVGA motherboard? I've never even seen one in the flesh. Never seen one. Dutch Jan says nope. Ugly Bob, nope. Chris Hartford says Intel are the better partner. EVGA gets in at the bottom and shape up their partnership. Well, that's what people would have expected, but I don't think it's going to happen. Old Man Withers, nope. Same, never seen one. Chris Hartford, nope. Out of my budget typically. Rick H, nope. Paul Wyman, nope. Jonas, nope. Mark Barry, didn't even know they existed. William Bodie. Wait and drink some tea. That's not a bad idea. I should drink some tea. Captain White's, apparently Steve said that the PSU make up 20% of their turnover, but also matched in profit with the 70% turnover their GPUs generated. Oh yeah, the PSUs are most definitely a much better product to be selling. Nicholas Barlow says no. Glenn says EVGA's motherboards are mainly for extreme overclocking. Yeah, that's true. Lucky Man, way too much. Let us basically saying, yeah, what I'm saying, interesting that EVGA is getting out of the GPU market at the same time Ethereum went proof of work. Yeah, that is my thought. It just seems like it's a really convenient thing to blame Nvidia. Now, Nvidia are asshole, we know this. We've said it over and over. But, yeah, it just seems like convenient. A very convenient time to do it. And I suppose, really, if they'd have said 6 months ago that they were going to do this, or whenever they did it, because obviously there must be a cooling off period, and they would have had to put orders in for their 40 series a year in advance, at least, I would have thought. So people knew about this. Dutch Jan says EVGA has one AM4 motherboard. Ugly Bob says, I wonder who's asked Jesus 2 cents is going to kiss now that Kingpin, his close personal friend Vince, won't be doing any more cards. It is a real shame. It's a real shame because EVGA are one of those companies, and they've actually turned around and publicly said they will not be expanding or going into any new lines, product lines, which is like a really weird thing to say. It's almost like they're kind of saying, right, we're wrapping up business, but we've got a lot of inventory, so please buy the stuff that we've got left over and buy our power supplies. There are companies that do just power supplies. Look at, oh, what's the name? Oh, for God's sake, I can't think of the name of them now. The best power supplies on the market, or allegedly best power supplies on the market. What's the brand? Help me out, someone.
Corsair?
No, not Corsair. Seasonic, thank you, Captain White. Or, yeah, Superflower, Seasonic. Everyone's saying Seasonic, thank you, thank you. Yeah, Seasonic, they make power supplies. That is their business, and they continue to do that to this day. That is what they've done. That is their thing. They are very good at it, so it makes sense to do it, and it's a very good thing to be into. The profit margins on power supplies are very good. Very, very good. So it's a good business to be in. But whether or not EVGA can be a big enough player in that market now to continue, I don't know. Skystalker says, about time I sent a super chat, Seasonic is the best PSU. I've always wanted a Seasonic power supply. I haven't. I want to see what the fuss is about, but then you can't really tell. It's like, my PC didn't catch on fire. Great. Old Man Withers says, maybe they turn ASHO up to 11 as Nvidia are up doo-doo creek 2, trying to flog expensive power hogs when there's years worth of new 30 series to sell and millions of eBay cards, etc. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. William Bodie says, do EVGA not make AMD GPUs? No, they sadly don't. They were not allowed to due to their agreement with Nvidia. Captain White says, best PSU is Tegan. Remember those? I do. That was a while back. I haven't seen them in a long time.
He's still using the PSU cable from the Tegan unit.
Cool, blimey. Chris says, there isn't much revolutionary to do for EVGA to do in the PSU market. That's true, there isn't really a great deal that can be done. We're now going to be going into the ATX version 3 very shortly with the new 12-pin ATX or PCI Express 5.0 power cable. So that is an absolute ball ache. There's a super chat from Skystalker. God bless you, Skystalker, with 10 Canadian rupees. Thank you very much, sir. And he says, Skystalker is back at home at the Mub Hangout. Yay. Well, I'm glad to hear you're home.
No, he's home in your chat, you mean?
Oh, back at home in the chat. I got you. Sorry, it's late. I don't know these things. My brain is like sushi. My brain is like uncooked sushi.
We've got an uncooked sushi place in the back of Sainsbury's. Pat said.
Ah, dear. So yeah, that is the thing. I don't know. It does. It makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder what is going on. I think there's more to it. I think there is way more to it than just Nvidia being asshole. I think personally, because the thing is, if you're making enough money, which they have been for the last 20 odd years, as a boss of a company, you're not only thinking of, oh, I want to spend more time with my family. You should be thinking, I've got X amount of employees here, which basically if we stop making graphics cards, regardless of what they say, there's no way they can put their entire graphics card assembly people into making power supplies or packing motherboards, because they just don't sell the volume. Like, actually, there's another one. How many of you actually, like we said, EVGA motherboards, how many of you actually own, at this very present moment, an EVGA power supply in your PC or a PC in your house? I don't think there's going to be many. Captain White, you bastard, says Mike's head is very egg-like today. Now I'm hungry. I actually had eggs for tea. That's probably why. I had ham, egg and chips, and it was very lovely. Egg-like, motherfucker.
That must be from eating it.
I've eat. They say you are what you eat, and I have had an egg. Therefore, my egg is head-like. No, strike it and reverse it. William Bodie says, question, is it not more cheap to go over to use iGPU and take Nvidia out of system? Yeah, it would save you energy, definitely. It will lower your frame rate, but save you energy. Thank you for the super chat, Captain White. Bless you. Glenn says, got one here, not in my PC though. Paul Lamont says, I have one 650 watt semi-modular one. Cool. Buckley Bob says, when he was tanned, he looked like a Kinder Egg. Oh dear. That is the thing about being someone in the public. You have to be able to live with these kinds of things and not cry yourself to sleep at night about it.
He's had years of practice from me.
I have had years of practice, to be fair.
And my family.
Skystalker says, I do own an EVGA PSU and an extra flip machine. I've got a sneaking suspicion I've got one here somewhere. Have I got one? I'm sure there was a box for one somewhere. Is it on the other side? I think it's in that PC there, actually.
That's boring, isn't it?
It is. I've actually got an EVGA. It's only a 600 watt white unit though. But, oh god, that's hurt.
Red Giant Gaming's got one.
Red Giant Games. So there's a few of you with EVGA power supplies. So to be fair, actually, considering how many people are watching and how many have actually got it. So potentially just selling EVGA power supplies with the productivity, they could, I suppose, if they made it a more efficient process to make them, to make even more money on them, then maybe they could do well. They do make some nice peripherals. Now actually, last night, after I realised that I still haven't done the unboxing on this, and I did have another look last night, I've actually got an EVGA X20 gaming wireless mouse, which young Bob sent us, Ugly Bob. Thank you very much, sir. And this is one of those things which is extremely nice, but extremely frustrating. Because this mouse glides like an absolute dream, it really does. But it's very ergonomic. And when I say ergonomic, I mean ergonomic for right-handed people, not for left-handed people. So I tried a game last night using this on my PC, and I was there fumbling around like some kind of asshole, and it was just not going well. So all right. So I actually used it on Bluetooth, and it didn't seem to be very laggy either. But I was really struggling trying to use it with my left hand, trying to get my fingers wrapped around the EVGA bar on the side to do the back and forward buttons. That was driving me slightly mental. So I haven't forgotten about it, Bob. I still have it here. I will get to do a video on it at some point. I'm not sure whether I'm going to have to tie my left hand behind my back for a couple of weeks to get used to using my right hand and then solely use it. I can actually, for ambidextrous mice, it's not too bad. I can do it. But for the other one, I can't. I struggle. I really do. Anyway, moving on. That's enough about me. David Underhill's getting on the act. Eggs are cheap here in this region. We have a lot of free range operations here because we grow a lot of grains. Right, can we get off the subject of my egg-like bonds, please? Well, Bill says I've got 2 of my systems. What, eggs? Oh, no, EVG. Nice one. And Mark Berry, he's got Cylon and Be Quiet. Awesome, thank you all very much. William says, Mike did a review of EVGA PSU some time ago. After that, I got a EVGA 700 watt bronze for a good price. Thanks, Mike. No worries. David Underhill says, EVGA, I have never in 40 years plus of PCs used their products. Too expensive here in Australia. Corsair, MSI, PSU and MSI Gigabyte motherboards mainly. Acer, MSI monitors.
Can't believe Rick's thing's still on there.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? Ugly Bob says, don't trust eggs, they are egg hole. Alexa says, there's no such thing as left-handed, there's only right-handed and wrong-handed. Ouch! That is very cutting. Quite funny though. It's like GPUs as well. Okay, I get you. Yeah, so I was going to talk about Ethereum, but I don't think... Does anybody actually care about crypto coin now? I think unless you actually mine or got in early, I don't think anybody... it's kind of one of those things which has passed by. I've still got the Raptoria miner on my PC, which I don't think I've turned on in... well, months, weeks at least, and it didn't make any money at all. So yeah, it sucks. Cryptocurrency, the thing is, Ethereum has gone from being kind of the golden boy of bitcoins to now basically they're going to become almost like a government-backed coin, which kind of makes it almost pointless. But I guess we'll see what it is. David Underhill says, crypto mining is the biggest scam Ponzi scheme ever. It kind of really is.
But you don't really...
I don't fully understand it, but from what I can gather, it's effectively like me saying to, like, say we had a well in the garden, and Kath was there pumping the well.
You're talking like a fish, or
I'm
you're
talking this.
talking a well?
A well, like a big feckin' hole in the ground with water in it. So
It doesn't have to be just a hole. You can have like a pipe you hammer down in. I've
right.
watched videos and when they draw
we
from
don't
water,
we don't need that. We don't need that information.
But it's cool.
All right, it's cool. But this is an analogy. So this is the analogy. You, as a worker or a miner, you are pumping this well. I got to stop doing that hand motion. You got to pump the well, and basically you come in, and after say 3 hours, you've pumped the equivalent of 5 litres of water. So for you pumping those equivalent 5 litres of water, I'm going to give you a cup of water. Actually, no, I'm not going to give you a cup of water. I'm going to give you a fraction of a cup of water. That is now yours. So that is effectively how crypto mining works. So somebody at the very top who actually owns that coin is like, they're making a lot of money. The further away from the start, the harder it is to mine and the more inefficient it becomes. Whereas the person who got in at the beginning and bought like 10 bitcoins for, well, 100 bitcoins for £1, they're like, oh my god, this is so amazing. So you do have to get in at the beginning. Now, not to say you can't make money. If electricity is very cheap and your graphics card is sat idling, then why not? But it's not... It's basically like Amway. It's like a pyramid marketing thing. So everyone gets involved and they've got all the exchanges who then exchange it and they make a bit of money. So everyone's trying to make a little bit of money on the transfer. Much like normal money or gold or something. But yeah, it's... a lot of people think it's free money. It's not free money because obviously it costs to do it, and potentially you could lose it all very, very easily. Either through your PC exploding and your wallet being destroyed if you haven't backed it up, or just from hacking or an accidental purchase or something. It's very dodgy.
Normally, do you know of any power supply units that ship with 3 PCIe cables?
Anomaly, would you want 3 individual PCIe cables, or do you want a power supply which has got 2 but they have doublers on?
Well, Bill's answered anyway, but...
Thanks, well, Bill.
Do-do-do. Is that the right tune? Got confused there.
Ugly Bob says, I'm indeed quite drunk this evening. Pint of chocolate milk for breakfast, followed by a bacon sandwich. Good work. Chris Hartford says, the criminals will start up a new crypto again soon enough. Pump that well, says Bob. A big hole with water in it, sounds like our roads.
Oh, they mended the one outside our house this week.
They did. Woke me up. Crypto is not backed by anything at all, pretty much like America's money. Yeah, most money these days is just a virtual piece of ones and zeros somewhere. It's got to the point... I would love for us to go back to the gold and silver and stuff like that, but I can't see it ever happening. David Hall says, with the crypto coin, the last persons to buy will be left holding an empty bag. Yeah. Stuart Cleary says, I'm in douche, mined for 10 months on 3 PCs on Cryptex. They won't pay out. Bastards. While Bill says, I bought a Corsair PSU once, never worked, and I took it out almost a month. Took almost a month to get an RMA replacement. That sucks. Chris Arthur says, most crypto is pump and dump. Even Elon is guilty of it. The whole stock market is it. It's so artificial. It's ridiculous. They, well, look at GameStop. What happened with GameStop? Like, it just goes to prove that you can artificially manipulate the market however you want.
Cat says thanks for keeping his picture on screen. Hello.
I don't know what that means.
You've got the banner on there.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I nearly clicked on restore chat now. Letta's quite right there, yeah. It's been years since they let anyone look inside Fort Knox because they sold all the gold years ago. Yeah, the whole money. I'm relatively, well, they say that something.
Mike, stop.
I got to stop. Kath said I can't say no more. Right, I think that should probably wrap things up. I think I've
carry on.
I've stretched this out long enough, and I'll probably say something I regret. Ultimately, I don't know what do we do going forward from here. It's going to be interesting to see how the news pans out over the next few days. Obviously, the fallout from this. Nvidia are probably going to say something on the 20th. Whether or not they're going to address the EVGA thing, I don't know. I'd imagine they're going to try and put some sort of spin on it. They might even do something retaliatory, if that is even a word, against EVGA and say, well, no, we stopped working with EVGA because of X, Y, Z, or who knows. It'd be interesting to see how it pans out, because Nvidia aren't known for taking things lightly, and they quite often respond or retaliate in a very emotional way rather than a financial way, or kind of like a thought through way. So it'd be interesting to see exactly what they say on that. I don't know. It would be, yeah, this week is going to be an interesting one, definitely. What's the date next Saturday? I have to look.
24th.
Wow. Well, hopefully we'll be back on next Saturday. You never know. The world's a funny old place, and yeah, hopefully it's all okay. But yeah, we'll be posting videos. There's still lots of videos coming through in the week. I have slowed down a little bit this week. Again, it's been an absolute nightmare this week trying to get things to pan out exactly how they should do. But I'll be doing the review on the case. Do a proper review on that, get the a build in there and get some thermals going, some options on cooling, see how that all goes. There's also another Gamemax Commando, got to do a build in that as well. And there is another one, what was the other case? There's a Gamemax, oh, it's under there. Trooper, Gamemax Trooper, I haven't reviewed that one yet, so that is the big brother of the Commando. That should be out very shortly as well. There's another €10 from our good friend Stuart Cleary. Bless you, Stuart. Says thanks, Mike and Kath, for another great Saturday night stream. You are very, very welcome, sir. William Bodie says, put on the belt and brag with it like Elvis Presley.
Do you want the belt?
I will. I haven't actually got the belt over here at the moment. Did I put it on yet or not? I'll put it on quickly.
Put it around your head.
Right. Oh.
You look like... Oh,
Now the trouble is I can't wear it when I sit down because it puts too much pressure on my diaphragm for my my hiatus hernia thing. So, oh God's sake. There we go.
You might wear it that way round.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to wear it this way around or not. I don't bloody know.
You even be able to do it up the other way round.
Actually, that's quite comfortable. I should have put that on all night.
Tim Wills says cannot run Radeon software on Windows 11.
Beefcake! Tim Wills, you cannot run Radeon software on Windows 11. You should be able to. David Underhill says, I would love to buy that buy a Gamemax case, but not sold here. Yeah, that's a weird thing. I don't know why that is. There's you'd think there'd be a Gamemax Australia, but for some reason it just doesn't seem to be the case.
There's none on eBay.
No,
You do
don't
put
think
links
so.
in free, but I don't know.
Mark says, glad you got one of those. It'll help your back. It should do. We'll see. William Bailey says, now remember to take care of your back. I will be out tomorrow in the shop fitting batteries and light bulbs and stuff to cars where I'm bending over, so I might actually take this to work with me tomorrow. I go, beefcake! I won't. Captain White says, performing boss flashback on my B450 Tomahawk. Pray with me. Consider yourself prayed with, my friend. Bless you all. Yeah, I think that is going to be it. So yeah, thank you all so much for taking part and joining us on this evening's stream. Hopefully you've all had a relatively enjoyable evening, and maybe you've learned some things, and maybe you've actually had some some thought-provoking moments. God, I got someone else's teeth in tonight, I think. I'm not sure whose they are, but they didn't work very well. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all so much for super chats, and massively thanks to well, all of you that contribute, but especially to Rick H for that $100. That is way above and beyond your duty, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I'm lost for words on that one. Anyway, massive thanks for all of you taking part, and thanks for those. William Bodie for sending bits in, and also Ugly Bob, obviously. I will try and get that Max reviewed as soon as possible. And I'll also get your booze sent up to you very shortly as well. So, yeah, thank you all so much for taking part, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. I should have done the usual things, shouldn't I? So, I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching. That's the fast-forwarded version. See you later, everybody. Have a good weekend, what's left of it, and we'll see you on Monday. See you later.